with him. Draisaitl to the net. McDavid shoots wide. Another miss. Here's Draisaitl. McDavid again. This time, chance first lead of the night. Bouchard puts the Oilers up 4-3. First shot of the Duran, trying to center. Let it go in the open. Victor Arvidsson hammers home his sixth. Drive off. By November the 3rd, it's his sixth of the year, and the Oilers right back in the game at 3-2. Trying to drag move. To the net, McDavid puts the Oilers up 4-3. Battle to the net, McDavid shoots wide.
The Jason Gregor Show.
A drive off the stars. And Blackwood beaten cleanly. Victor Arvidsson hammers home his sixth.
On Sports 1440.
Trying to drag move to the middle, pitch forward, but not out. By Kimeronza, shot score. Seeing eye shot Brett Kulak, whose last game came in this building back on November the 30th. Has his sixth of the year, and the Oilers right back in the game at 3-2.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Battle to the net, McDavid shoots wide, another miss. Here's Draisaitl, McDavid again. This time, Bouchard, score! Edmonton's first lead of the night. Evan Bouchard puts the Oilers up 4-3.
Well, a positive Friday. How are you? And welcome to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. As always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the province at PlayAlberta.ca. Hope you are having a lovely Friday. We are coming to you live from the 46th annual John Reed Memorial Tournament here in St. Albert. We are at Service Place, and you've got some of the best U15 AAA teams, not only in the province, in the country, in North America, because there's a few teams from the United States, some from BC, Alberta, and it's a great tournament, 46 years running. And we're going to talk to Oil Kings GM Kirt Hill, because, man, I'm telling you, for WHL scouts and GMs and teams, this is a marquee tournament to come and watch for a lot of players, of course, who are draft eligible for the upcoming WHL draft. And, it's an opportunity to see a lot of them because, unfortunately, you have associations in this tournament. You have some academies in this tournament, and they don't play each other a lot during the season, which is unfortunate. There's a few of these showcase tournaments that they do get to. So this allows, to see maybe a better sense of how they fare against some other top quality players. So we'll be here all day. Looking forward to it, man. We got lots to talk about, Oiler fans. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440 is in our email inbox. Oiler news, lots of it. So if you're just, maybe you know, maybe you don't, but John Klingberg has signed with the Edmonton Oilers. Signs a 1-year deal. Now, it's a base salary of $1 million, but it's a prorated deal. So it's $1 million prorated, and he gets $350,000 signing bonus because of his injury and everything. Now, that's not like Brown's performance bonus. It's similar to the Evander Kane signing bonus. You get it all. It counts this year. You can't use it. Like, you know how Brown right now, there's bonus overages because of his performance bonuses? That this wouldn't qualify. So when you consider the prorated factor of his contract and how many days have been played in this year's season and how many days are remaining, the Oilers have played just over half the season. But all those days in February when there's no games being played, they count as part of the season. And so the way a contract works, it's not based on games played. It's based on days, right? And so let's just go easy number. There's 185 days in the season. And if you make $1 million, you would divide it by 185. And that's what you get paid per day. Because sometimes if you're in the minors, right now, if you're on a one-way deal, it doesn't matter. But if you're on a two-way deal, every day you're in the NHL, you'll get your salary based on that day. And so for John Klingberg, it's based off of days of the season days remaining. Right. And so it's around between the $350 signing bonus and the prorated salary. He's going to come in at just around $1 million cap hit. And as I said, if you get John Klingberg for 1 year at $1 million, I thought that was the high end. Okay. And it might actually be just below that. I got to do the math on the actual days left in the season or not. So we look at it. We're here on the, he signs a contract today. So there's 13 days left in January. There's 28 days in February. That's 41, 72. And then what is there? 18. So there's 90 days left. So pretty close. So it actually might even be less than that. Might come in closer to 950, maybe even 900K for what he's going to be valued at on actual cap hit against the Oilers cap this year. So that's how it works for John Klingberg. He obviously isn't going to play tomorrow, but we'll see him, I'm assuming, some point on the 6-game homestand. And what's great about this for the Oilers, this is a very low-risk signing, right? Because worst case scenario, now I got to see if he has a no movement clause or not in the deal, because that's the only way that you technically, because you could put him in the minors if you wanted. I don't think at this point that they're going to sign him to be a guy who's in the minors. But in theory, if he doesn't have a no movement clause, then you could. So the Oilers will have now 6 weeks. Of course, a few of those weeks they don't play. But they'll have an opportunity to get a little bit of a scouting report here on John Klingberg and find out, okay, is this the guy, or are we going to want to still augment? I wouldn't be surprised, because we've talked about it. Sometimes you need 8 good defensemen if you want to go deep in the playoffs. So maybe Troy Stecher, if you acquire someone else, well, Troy Stecher's your 8. And maybe Klingberg's your 7. We'll see. We'll see what happens between now and then. But this is a good low-risk bet for the Edmonton Oilers. Because in theory, you would look at him and you would say that Klingberg is a guy who's going to play with Darnell Nurse, right? If we look at it from that perspective, he's going to play with Darnell Nurse. So that's kind of how I see it lining up for the Edmonton Oilers. And by the way, for the Edmonton Oilers, hey, I talked about it yesterday on the show. To me, that's what you would deem a scheduled loss. Didn't say they had to lose, but based on everything, schedule, travel, altitude, 3rd game in 4 nights, second half of a back-to-back. And I said yesterday, if they win, to me, that I don't care how they win, but I didn't expect them to win trailing 3-0, but they did. And that to me is one of the most impressive performances of the season for the Oilers when I consider everything that's going on. They might have played better games this year, stylistically, puck control, not limiting any chances, sure. But when I just look at it from everything that was going on in that game, for them to be down 3-0 in the first period and come back and win on the road, second night of a back-to-back, 3rd game in 4 nights, that's a huge win. That is a huge win for the Edmonton Oilers. And in the fashion they did it. And I look at that game, and it's just another reminder. People like, Stuart Skinner, I didn't like the second goal. Okay, fine. You didn't like the second goal. Do you think Colorado and their goaltender liked the Arvidsson goal? Because I'll tell you, the Arvidsson goal was worse than the first McKinnon goal. Worse angle, farther distance out. Not a screen. Like, that's the goal that was as good as Blackwood played. If you want to talk about it, when you can't just look at save percentage in every game. Stuart Skinner was down 3-0 early on. Did he allow another goal? No. He kept his team in the game. Made a partial breakaway save, then a nice pad save on the rebound. He was perfect after that. And Blackwood, that save on Draisaitl in the first period, unreal. But look at the goal he allowed to Arvidsson. You tell me that's a good goal? Give me a break. Right? Because those goals will happen. It's not an awful goal, but they happen. But I find that people that criticize think like Edmonton's goalies are the only goalies who ever let in a questionable goal, right? It's not the case. It happens. And the Oilers, that is a huge, huge win for me, for them. But in my eyes, that's a huge win. So we'll get to that. Give me your thoughts on Klingberg. 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440. I look at it as a pretty low-risk play. Connor Halley, what about you?
Yeah, Gregor, I mean, I would say the exact same thing. It's obviously, the situation with Klingberg coming off the injury. The upside is there offensively. I mean, I think it's going to be what does he do and how do you manage him correctly, making sure you're not putting him in situations not to fail. But I will have full faith that the Oilers coaching staff and management did their due diligence here, made sure that he was able to, or at least in sometime in the near future, get out there and contribute. And yeah, I mean, we saw it in the past.
I don't expect it to be long.
No. Well, how soon are you thinking?
He'll be playing in the 6-game homestand.
Okay. And we probably agree though, like, situations like, obviously using last change, getting him out there, probably not putting too much on his plate at the start.
Well, are you going to change all your D pairs? No, I think you're going to play him right where Troy Stetcher has been playing.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
To me.
Yeah, absolutely. Put him with Darnell Nurse in the second pairing there. And I like it, Greg. I mean, and it's just so low risk. If it doesn't work out, then you move on and you go in another direction. But for the potential upside of what he could be, I like it.
Yeah, it's pretty low risk is what it is. And now, how much does he have left? I have no idea. No idea what does he have left? He has never been a great defensive player. Right? Like let's call a spade. That's not his forte, but he's had some good years. He can play in the NHL. There's no question about that. And for the longest time, he was a top 4 defenseman in the league. But it's been a while since he was. And so that's obviously there's a little bit of a concern there. Then there's the fact of you're coming off an injury. You haven't played a game now in 14 months. And so when I look at him, how much time is he going to need to be the player? Because look at Connor Brown last year. It took Connor Brown 6 months. The Oilers don't have 6 months. Now it's a different surgery. I understand that. And, it's been 14 months already now, but that's the fair concern for me is how much of the player that we saw prior to the surgery are you going to see now for John Klingberg? And I don't think any of us know. The Oilers, obviously they feel that you can, there's something there or they wouldn't have done it. So we'll talk about that. We got Jeff Patterson joining us from Vancouver, where the Oilers, they could finish off this essential 8-game road trip with and be unbelievable, right? The only loss would be in Pittsburgh. It's phenomenal. Regardless of what happens in Vancouver tomorrow, you got to say that the start of 2025 calendar year has been a massive success for the Edmonton Oilers. No question about it. It was their hardest stretch of the season when you look at travel, games played, all that stuff, and it's been a success. Obviously, you win against Vancouver, you just finish it off great. Now they have to come home and then play well again. I get all that, but I'm just talking from January 3rd until today. This has been, I don't know if you could have asked for better. No one would have thought they would have won every game, right? You expect them to lose some game. I think some people thought they would lose one of the Minnesota-Colorado games. It wouldn't have been a crazy bet, but they won both, and they played outstanding. So Craig Button will be by. We got Spec and LT will be here. Kirt Hill, the GM of the Edmonton Oil Kings, will join us live at Service Place here for the John Reed Memorial Tournament. We got the 2-minute warning with Cam Tate. Also, Lomas Brown, who is a 5-time All-Pro left tackle and is now the radio analyst for the Detroit Lions. Lomas Brown, man, that guy is an unbelievable player. He's going to join us. We'll talk a little NFL games. Of course, you got the 4 games, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. Chiefs and the Texans, the first game, and then you have the Lions hosting the Commanders. And then Sunday, the Ravens and the Bills, and the Rams and the Eagles. So it's a great weekend of NFL football. Should be loads of fun. I'm looking at the Oilers and just, where they're at. We got a lot of texts coming in, 833-401-1440. Hey, boys, getting Klingberg allows the Oilers time to evaluate, and if not, they can still get another D. It's a win-win from Jay. Bang on, man. I agree. Right? I think even with Klingberg, because now it eats up a small part of your cap. Not much, though, right? Not much. Like, I would assume here, because he's not joining the team yet, and they've agreed to the contract, but just so people know, he doesn't start counting against the cap because everything's got to file. They've agreed to the terms, so they'll probably file this tomorrow, and then it'll start counting on the cap, maybe even Sunday, and by then, they'll probably have sent Josh Brown down. So you know what? The money actually, in theory, he'll make less on the cap than actually, no, it'll be exactly the same as Brown remainder of the season, right? So they're fine there. Cap hit wise,
all right.
Might move someone else down. We'll see what they're going to do on the blue line, but it's a very low risk, high reward potential. Now there might only be a low reward. There might be no reward. We'll have to see how he plays, but this is a good move, and this is what happens when you're a good team. The old adage: the rich get richer. Right? Edmonton Oilers, good team. You're John Klingberg. And not only are they a good team, but they had a perfect opening potential for him. Everybody sees the team. We know who the first pair right defenseman is. We know who the third pair right defenseman is. The second pair is up for grabs. So he's got to play better than Troy Stecher. And he's going to have to play well so the Oilers don't look and say, geez, maybe we got to go get another D-man. I think they still will add another defenseman. I won't be shocked by it, to be honest. But it just might not be, a big high-end guy. Because I think they're going to want to get somebody else for depth. No question. But I like it. Hey, Greggs, can you run down the info on Klingberg, his stats, height, weight, all that kind of stuff? What's the contract length? Well, the contract length is a 1-year deal. Okay? 1-year deal for John Klingberg. And John Klingberg was, this guy was very good offensive defenseman for many years in Dallas. The last he turned down a big contract extension with the Stars, then didn't get signed. He ended up having to sign a 1-year deal with the Anaheim Ducks, and that played 50 games for the Ducks. Then he got traded to Minnesota. Actually played pretty well in Minnesota that year for the playoffs. He's 32 years of age. He's 6'1", about $190, right shot. Not a physical player, but good skater. His biggest strength is walking the blue line, and he can move the puck. So if you look at him and on the Oilers' blue line, I guess I would say the closest in similarity is Bouchard. He doesn't possess the slap shot of Evan Bouchard, and I think he's probably I will see, prior to this surgery, he was a better skater than Bouchard was. So, if you look at his, he had 40 points in his first season in the NHL as a rookie in 65 games when he got recalled in 2014-15. Then he had 58 points, 49 points, 67 points, 45 points, 32 and 58. Then he had started to get some injuries, 36 and 53, 47 and 74. And then that was his last year in Dallas. He was an assistant captain for his last 5 seasons. Associate captain for the last 5 seasons with the Dallas Stars. He's a good player. Has been, but we'll see. What is he coming off of the hip resurfacing surgery? That's what he had. Hip resurfacing. Doesn't sound very fun, does it? So Hey guys, what does Kane's LTIR open up? It opens up about $5.125 million. That's what it opens up. So you can, because the Oilers, when they put them on, you put them in so that, they're right maxed out. So that's what it opens up. It's just over $5 million. And this prorated salary with the signing bonus, this is basically $1 million of that. Okay. But Josh Brown comes off. He goes to the minors. Klingberg basically replaces Josh Brown. So he doesn't eat up all of that $1 million in the LTIR. So we'll just keep that in mind. Quick break. When we come back, we'll talk more about the signing, and we'll get into more of the game last night, as well as the upcoming NFL playoff game. But are you kidding me? I think that's one of the most impressive wins I've seen from the Oilers in a long time. When I look at all the situation around it, that's a huge, huge win. as you're listening to the Jason Gregor Show, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Just when the weather is freezing your nosy, someone's got a new menu that's tasty and cozy. What? It's Booster Juice. Now you can warm up and chow down with a savory selection of grilled fresh favorites. Breakfast wraps, chicken wraps, grilled cheese, steak, and chicken paninis. Topped with melty cheese, creamy pesto, spicy chipotle. Grilled fresh options made in-house, warm and delicious. Made daily with the finest ingredients. Cozy comfort food at Booster Juice. Download the Booster Rewards app today.
At Hughes, it's all about getting in and out quick and clean. No cash, no problem. With Hughes' new tap and wash system, all you need is your debit or credit card to get your vehicle sparkling clean.
Find us at hughescarwash.com.
Is it Riverside Motorsports? No. It's Riverside Motorsports. Over 55 years in business, and people still get it wrong. Guess it's time to get it right.
Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
Papa John's would like to recognize all the amazing meat-savoring, veggie-loving, barbecue chicken craving, pepperoni-popping, crust-dipping customers with an extra large thank you. And to really show just how much they appreciate you, from January 13th to 19th, take 40% off any pizza at regular menu price. It's just their way of saying thanks for loving pizza as much as they do. Order online at papajohns.ca or through the Papa John's app and use promo code TY40. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some Papa John's.
We now have a post-game show on Sports 1440. After the next game, tune in to Andrew Walker as he breaks down the game with you. The post-game show brought to you by the Ridge Social Eatery, St. Albert.
The locks are on a timer. They're going to get out.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Service team reporting. With the remarkable reach of our bucket trucks and other equipment, we assess, service, and maintain your electrical lighting and automation systems.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Epcor. Stormwater ponds in Edmonton are designed to move water and runoff from streets and sidewalks, making them unsafe for winter activities. Instead, head to a community league or city rink that's safe for you, your family, and friends. Think twice and stay off the ice. Learn more at epcor.com/winter safety.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.224, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. It is the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. How are you? Hope you're having a lovely, positive Friday. We come to you live at the John Reed Memorial Tournament here in St. Albert at the Service Center, well, technically just outside the Performance Arena is what it's called. Mark Messier Arena, same building, Troy Murray Arena to St. Albert Legends, and their kids are playing at the Performance Arena right now. It's bigger crowds. The host actually, St. Albert, playing their third game of the tournament, win, and they move on to the playoff round, which will be great. Now, speaking of playoffs, let's get to playoff talk, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, home of the no payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace. Stay warm all winter long at legacyheating.ca. And NFL playoffs. The buys happened last week and wild card weekend, and now you're into the final 8 of the NFL. And on Saturday, you'll have both number 1 seeds. Kansas City is the early game. They'll host Houston, and then the Detroit Lions will host the Washington Commanders. Now, these teams did meet in the playoffs. I think it was 1991, and that's when Washington was actually victorious in that one. Detroit comes in as the favorite. They are the number 1 seed, and man, I think they'd be an overwhelming favorite if they were fully healthy, but they are still the favorite. And 5-time All-Pro left tackle, current radio analyst for the Lions, Lomas Brown, joins us. Lomas, welcome back to the show, man. How you doing?
Oh, I'm great until you brought up 1991 against Washington. I had goosebumps that went down my back when you brought that up. That wasn't a good day for the Detroit Lions against those Washington, as they were known, Redskins back in the day.
Yeah, I'm sure, Lomas, you have a few good memories, but yeah, the losses probably always stick with you a little bit longer. You've been around the organization a long time, and the last few years, the Detroit Lions have become now, one of the marquee franchises. They're very successful, and man, they built a really good team this year. And despite a rash of injury, especially on defense, they still finished with the best record in the NFC. They've had a few guys come back healthy. So let's look at this matchup, and let's start with that Lions defense. They're going up against the very exciting rookie in Jaden Daniels. How do you what you saw last weekend from Tampa Bay? What do you think the Lions defense has to do to limit Daniels, who is a heck of an athlete?
Oh yeah, man, that's a tall assignment. And I've said earlier in this week that our linebackers, they're going to have to play the best game as a group. They're going to have to play the best games of their career against that young man, because the one word I use to describe him, and everybody else has, is poise. He has so much poise to be a young guy. He doesn't seem like he gets rattled. He seems like he's always under control. And I do know the one thing: if you have a leader, if your quarterback has that type of demeanor, that gives the rest of the guys in that locker room that type of demeanor, that they know that they could be in these games, and they know they have the opportunity of winning these games. So it's going to be a challenge, especially for our linebackers, because they're going to have to contain him, but yet and still make sure that they're in position to defend against the pass.
Okay. Now you're an offensive lineman, so you know what, you have a quarterback who can scramble. You know what, it can be good. Sometimes though, what's the like if you have a QB who scrambles, Lomas, and you're the offensive line, like you know to protect him in a certain area, you kind of know where he is. But the way the game is now, we have a lot more QBs who roll out. So how does that change for the awareness from an offensive lineman?
I mean, that's a great point. And again, you would rather your quarterbacks to roll out with purpose. And what I mean by that, if it's a design rollout, or if the play is a bootleg or something like that, you would like that. But if you have a quarterback that's mobile, that can use his feet the way that a Jaden Daniels can, then I think the thing that you do is you just make sure that he doesn't drift in the pocket. That's the one thing with mobile quarterbacks. They'll drift around in the pocket, and that can cause some problems for the offensive linemen, especially your offensive tackles, right? Because it's almost like an umbrella, and your offensive tackle, he's thinking that your quarterback is inside, and sometimes they drift to the outside a little bit, and that's when you run into problems with guys getting sacks, coming off the tackle, getting tackles for losses, just different things like that when your quarterback drifts. So as long as Jaden Daniels isn't drifting in the pocket, I think all's good. And I know that those linemen love having a quarterback that can get themselves out of trouble if they need to.
Yeah. So you look at the Lions offense. Now they're going to get one half of their running back tandem back in Montgomery. They did pretty well without him, but they've had success with both. How does it change or benefit the offense having him back in?
Oh, my goodness, man. Look, we need our knuckles back with Sonic. So, yes, I mean, this is going to be big for us because, again, David attacks in between the tackles, And I think what the people don't realize is that he's just as good outside of the tackle. So, you know, again, you can play him for a tough guy that's going to run in between the tackles, but he can get to the outside and really cause damage outside in the run game. And I think that's where Jameer, who's the guy that's happy to have him back, I think that's where the offensive linemen, Panay Sewell and Taylor Decker and all those guys, why they're happy to have a guy back like that is because, one, he's going to take pressure off Jameer, but two, it's the tough yardage that David gets for you, and he's part of our identity. That's what we identify ourselves as a tough, hard-nosed team that's going to dominate the line of scrimmage with our offensive line and with our run game.
Lomas Brown joins us, of course, 5-time All-Pro left tackle with the Lions. He is now a radio analyst for the Lions. And you look at the quarterback position, and they're very different styles. But can you kind of talk about Goff and what he's brought to Detroit and how important it is for him to have some playoff success?
Yeah, man. I mean, I can't say enough about Jared and how this journey has started for him and where he's ended up at so far. I mean, think about it. A California kid plucked from California and put out into the Midwest, coming to a team that didn't have a rich history of winning, a team that was still trying to find themselves, and he was just a cast-off. And for him to come here, embrace the Midwest mentality, embrace that grit, that hard work mentality, the people love him here. We've put our arms around Jared. Jared is ours, and we expect to go a long way with Jared. He's been nothing but great so far. I expect him to keep continuing to play the way he's played. And think about it. Since he's been here, he's taken this franchise, one of the original franchises now. He's taken us to places we've never been before. So kudos to Jared, and kudos to what he's done and how he's just brought the Lions' pride back.
Speak of the Lions' pride, and you look at this organization, and Lomas, for a long time, there wasn't a lot of winning, right? And Dan Campbell came in, and I remember Dan Campbell's original press conference. And there was people that thought he was, he's too emotionally saying things. He's not going to be able to do. He pretty much everything he said he was going to do, talk about, we're going to build team, we're going to be physical, we're going to build it, and we're going to work. And pretty much everything he said about his culture, now you look at it today, it's exactly what he said at his original press conference. But back then, there were a lot of doubters.
Yeah, but again, the thing I respect about Dan, and full disclosure, I like to let people know we played 2 years together with the Giants, so he's a former teammate of mine. But the thing I respect about Dan, the same message he's preaching now, he was preaching this message when we were 1-13, and I'm sorry, we were terrible when he first started off. I'm sorry, I can't get it out. But we were terrible those first 2 years. Then in the second year, we started off 1-10. I mean, most people would have gave up on them. Most coaches would have changed their message that they were preaching to the team. But his message was the same back then in his first year as, like you said, it's been to this year. And guys respect that. You respect that from your coach. When he preaches the same message, when he's consistent, when you know the type of guy you're going to get day in and day out. And this guy sat in those lockers you sat in. He's been through those wars with you before. So he knows what you're going through along with him and all those other excellent assistant coaches that he has on this team. So, yeah, man, it's been a godsend. He's been the right person for this team, not just for this team. He's been the right person for this state, this city, this community.
Lomas Brown joins us. Lomas, so if you look at it, the key to success for the Lions offense will be blank on Saturday.
Oh, it'll be letting the big fellas eat, as I like to say. The big fellas are hungry. Panay, Taylor, Frank Ragnow, Graham Glasgow, and now Christian Mahogany, who's filling in for Kevin Zeitler. Those big fellas haven't eaten in about 2 weeks. They ready. They're hungry. And when you got a hungry big fella, guess what you have to do? You have to feed him. And that's what I expect Ben Johnson to do on Saturday night. He's going to feed them big fellas. They're going to get a heavy dose of David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs. That's going to start off everything for us. And as you know, everything is predicated off our run game. Play action pass, screen pass, everything's predicated off that. So my key is let the big fellas eat up front.
Well, Lomas, quickly, give me your thoughts on the Philadelphia LA Rams game, and what's your expectation?
Well, poetic justice, for me, it would be Matthew Stafford coming back here once again and for us taking it out. It would be awesome for the road to the Lions' first ever Super Bowl to lead through beating Matthew Stafford for a third time and getting to the Super Bowl. That would be the story. That's what I'm looking at. I'm not really worried about Philadelphia. I want some LA. Bring on Matthew Stafford. I love that storyline.
Oh, Stafford and Goff for sure. That would be fun. Lomas, always good to talk to you, man. Enjoy the game tomorrow.
Take care. Thanks for having me.
There you go. There's Lomas Brown, long-time NFL. He's an unbelievable tackle. For any of the youngsters, look up Lomas Brown was an absolute force on the O-line. We got a lot of texts coming in. Hey, guys, do you think the Oilers will put Klingberg on a conditioning stint? There's a chance, sure, if he agreed to it. But keep in mind, now he had the same surgery as Patrick Kane. And Patrick Kane last year, coming off the surgery, he played 50 games for the Detroit Red Wings. Now, I'm 90% certain he didn't go on a conditioning stint. I'll double check it, but I don't think he did. He had 47 points in 50 games. Now, I'm not saying Klingberg's Patrick Kane, but similar surgery. And you look at it, they'll say, hey, we can probably, try to just get this guy up to speed. They'll see what he is in practice. He's obviously been skating here. They're not going to sign the guy if he's that far away from playing, right? That doesn't, well, I would hope not anyway. That would make no sense to me. How close are you to playing? Oh, a month away. Well, then we'll sign you when you're close to playing, right? That doesn't, you don't want him sitting on the cap practicing for 3 weeks. That doesn't good. What a waste of space that would be. So I would be surprised if you don't see Klingberg next week. You can get a Sunday will be a day off for the Oilers. On the ice Monday for practice. Could he play Tuesday? Maybe. If not, I could see him in there on Thursday or Saturday. Right now, Washington, that's a tough game. So maybe it's not the Caps, but hey, sink or swim. You know how it is. Like the guy's played in the NHL a long time. He's coming off an injury. He hasn't played in 12 months. So maybe you don't play him every game right away. But the good news for the Oilers is coming up in this 6-game homestand, there's no games back-to-back. They play Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Monday. Then they have 2 days off, and they'll play the Thursday and Saturday again. So no back-to-backs, and it's possible. I'm intrigued to see what John Klingberg can be. Now, I want to clarify on the salary cap. So the cap hit technically could be 2 different cap hits because it's a signing bonus. So the CBA's got some weird rules. So thanks to Hart, who sent me a note from Puckpedia. So here's how it works. The actual cap hit from the prorated base, because he signed $350K mid-season as a signing bonus, it counts higher on your cap. I have to look up the ruling, but that's just a ruling. I don't know why, but that's what it does. So technically, he's a $1.74 million cap hit, but there's a caveat. That's if he's in LTIR. If you're in LTIR, he counts as that because the signing bonus. But if you're not in LTIR, then he's only an $824,000 cap hit because that's the actual money, right? Because it's $1 million prorated plus the $350,000 cash, right? So it's just under $500K is what he's making in cash plus the $350 bonus. Does that clarify it? So it's $824 is the actual money he will earn, and that would be his cap hit if the Oilers when he's not in LTIR. So days that they're not using Kane's LTIR, and maybe that will be none, he would be an $824 cap hit. Days he's in LTIR, he's a $1.74 cap hit. Weird rule, man. The salary cap is a weird thing, but that's That's the clearest way I can explain it. So there you go. When we return, the GM of the Edmonton Oil Kings. We'll talk to him about just a wild and wacky WHL trade deadline, but also we'll talk about the John Reed Memorial Tournament, some of the young kids playing here, and much, much more on the Jason Gregor Show, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
McDonald's presents a hockey showdown like never before. McDavid versus Matthews. There can only be one winner, competing for all the glory and all the prize. The new menu features top shelf plays like the Smoky Quarter Poppy and the Big Mac David, so everybody scores, with even more delicious options like the Spicy Junior Chirpy. Now that calls for a silly Sunday. The Showdown menu, now available at McDonald's.
Papa John's would like to recognize all the amazing meat-savoring, veggie-loving, barbecue chicken-craving, pepperoni-popping, crust-dipping customers with an extra large thank you. And to really show just how much they appreciate you, from January 13th to 19th, take 40% off any pizza at regular menu price. It's just their way of saying thanks for loving pizza as much as they do. Order online at papajohns.ca or through the Papa John's app and use promo code TY40. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some Papa John's.
A Bedtime Story by Zachary Martin Hyman.
The hockey game's over. The Zamboni sleeps soon. I lay down in comfort, Legacy heating my room. Good night to you, furnace, with your hot blower running. Good night to you, air vents, keeping the warm air coming. Good night to my payments that I won't see for 1 year. Good night to my Legacy. Bedtime is near.
Warm winter nights. That's how you soothe your Legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
We now have a post-game show on Sports 1440. After the next game, tune in to Andrew Walker as he breaks down the game with you. The post-game show brought to you by the Ridge Social Eatery, St. Albert.
Introducing the Female Super League. Female hockey is on the rise with more women playing the game than ever. Join us as we pave the way for the future of women's hockey. The FSL is more than a game. It's a movement and an experience for the motivated female athlete. Teams will compete in a showcase-style format featuring consistent interprovincial competition. Come be part of the journey as the 2024-25 season unveils a 12U division, as well as the launch of a groundbreaking progressive body-checking 14U division. For more information, visit femalesuperleague.com.
Whether it's towing your big toys or hauling gear for the job site, the Toyota Tundra handles it all without breaking the sweat. By the end, you'll be standing there, wishing you could high-five that truck. That's what we call being Tundra-struck. It's time to be impressed. It's time to Toyota. Lease a 2025 Tundra 4x4 double cab SR5 from $152 weekly for 60 months at 5.19% with $6,699 down. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Prairie Toyota dealer today.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. Watch every Oilers game at OTR with $5.25 Molson Canadian, $5 Pink Whitney shots, and 60-cent wings. Plus, play Oilers score and win for your chance to win On the Rocks gift cards. Oilers hockey at OTR. Book your table today. Jasper Ave and 118th.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Welcome back. We are live at the 46th annual John Reed Memorial Tournament here in St. Albert. I'm Jason Gregor on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. And we are joined live by the general manager of the Edmonton Oil Kings. You got your notepad out there. How's your writing? Can you still read it?
Yeah, it's okay. It's a little sloppier as you get to like the 10th and 12th game of the day, but it's pretty legible early on.
Yeah. So Kirt, so you come to a tournament like this, and you know what? There's lots of games going on in a day. You want to see every team the first day, I'm guessing. And then do you kind of, as the tournament goes, you drill down on more guys that you really want to get 3 or 4 looks at?
Yeah, certainly. Again, there's a lot of local teams sometimes here too. So for me, it's, you want to get those teams you don't see as much as when you're on the road, or the U.S. teams that are up here right now. But usually day one, it's, you try to get a little bit of everybody in, and then you start to zero in on some players, especially for me. I mean, a lot of these events, I'm focused on more of the guys we're probably going to pick higher up in the draft, just kind of how we structure it in our organization. But yeah, so then those next days I'm kind of zoning in on specific players and looking at their specific tendencies out there.
Yeah, like it's impossible to scout every player. There's just too many of them, right? To scout in depthly enough. And you've scouted a long time. How many views do you feel comfortable with where you're like, okay, I think I really know this player as much as you could know a player that you're drafting, 14 years of age?
Yeah, I would say, you know what, if I watch a guy 5 times over the course of the year, I'm feeling pretty good about him,
okay.
I would say. But, nowadays with the way everything's structured with, the academies and, a lot of the teams that are being built to be pretty super teams, whatever you want to call them, you end up seeing some of these guys like 20 times. And, I feel bad for the St. Albert team here. That's just where I live. So I see them the most. So those are the guys I start overthinking the most, right? By the end of the year, I'm like, I've probably just watched these guys way too much.
Yeah.
I'm nitpicking them.
Well, it's interesting you say that because it's such a human tendency. I see it in the NHL and I watch the analysis and you see it and people talking about a player and October, oh, this guy's great. Then you get to April. Well, this is what he doesn't do now. And it's like, I remember Scout telling me the minute you start focusing on what a player doesn't do, you miss all the things they do well, right? Nobody is going to do well, I guess I shouldn't say nobody. McDavid, there's a few guys, but the vast majority of players are going to have strengths and then there's going to be weaknesses. Do you find, are the strengths that you look for in a forward vastly different than the strengths you look for in a defenseman?
Yeah, I think like when we start talking about that, the deficiencies in the players and the strengths in the players, like I think the biggest thing we talk about in our group a lot is, okay, are these deficiencies that this player have developmental deficiencies? Like, do we feel they can work with our coaches, a skating coach? Can they, is it structure-y? Is it, something with their shot? Do we help them with a shooting coach? Like, what is that specific deficiency? And if we feel like we can develop that, then there's somebody we're willing to take a chance on if they're missing something in that regard. But if it's something else that we don't think we can develop as much, a certain type of stride or something along those lines, then it makes it a little bit harder to take a chance on that specific player.
What about hockey sense? How can you help develop it?
It's a tough one to develop at the end of the day. That's really hard. And I think, one thing I think that when we get players to our organization nowadays, I think one of the biggest things that players are missing now is game management.
Okay. And what do you mean by that?
Yeah, just the intricacies of the game. I mean, just even you're late in a game and, you're up 1 goal and it's probably the right place just to chip the puck deep. Just manage the game, get the win. Like those little details, taking penalties at the wrong moments.
Yeah.
Like I remember when I played when I was younger, I thought like the kids managed games a lot better. And it was a little bit more about winning maybe. Not always about the individual stuff. Whereas sometimes now I feel like the game management is something when guys get to our level that we're almost getting them caught up with. And that's just with that, it's almost just like showing the mistakes that are made in video, blown leads at the end of games. And especially with our team going through a rebuild, it's like you're playing a lot of young players and game management becomes a huge thing when you're trying to get through that. And that's something that our team this year's taking a big step with.
And so when you get into game management, because nowadays there's more goals than ever. We saw in the Oilers last night, a 3-0 lead doesn't necessarily mean your game's over. Even when you're on a second half of a back-to-back, for goodness sakes. But when you have game management, to create the message, it doesn't mean we're stifling you. We want you to, like, if you can go, you go when it's 2-1 or when it's 4-2. But if you feel pressure on you when you're going, well, that's when you dump it up. Where maybe if it's early in the game and you're confident you can skate away from it, you'll keep handling the puck rather than just chip it away.
Yeah, 100%. You never want to. Again, you got skilled players. You want them to be able to make plays and read and react, and those. A lot of times when those guys got the puck anyways, they're going to do something pretty good with it 9 times out of 10, right? So you don't want to take that away from them. But at the end of the day, it's just, those just certain moments in the game that just, where there's a right decision to be made probably. And guys just, especially to win a game, I find. And that's the small intricacies in games right now that are missed sometimes.
I've talked to lots of GMs and since the NCAA announcement, they've had lots of players reach out to them, who were planning on going NCAA, who weren't going to go major junior. Now that's obviously changed the options there. And I've seen some WHL teams that brought in 3 or 4 guys, and others are like, no, I'm sticking to my guys, and that's what it is. How much of the Wild West is this going to be? And are there a lot of players that are suddenly, quote, in like the free agent pool who, weren't even drafted by teams because you thought, well, this guy's going NCAA for sure, so I'm not even going to take him? Or were most of those guys still taken as flyers in the 9th, 10th, 11th round?
Yeah, I would say a lot of them were taken already.
Okay.
And like, if they're really good players, they've probably remained on teams' lists, or they've already got commitments. And the way our list system works, they go on a college list, so they don't take up a spot.
Okay.
So a lot of teams have college lists with 10 to 15 players on them, and they're usually, most of them are taken. I mean,
Okay.
I think there was a lot of guys this year now that I do feel like there was an element of you could hide behind a little bit too with the college thing, where players were like, am I really good enough to play in the Western League? Or can I just say, yeah, you know what, I think I'm going to go the college route, and then they don't come to the league. And now a lot of those guys at the end of the day were unlisted players, and they're 19 years old now, and they're still not ready to play in the Western League. So I think that element of those guys that could hide behind that before is not there anymore, because now you can come to the league and you can play with the best players.
Do you think it's actually going to make your league stronger?
I do, for sure. And I think it's, there's going to definitely be more of the high-end American kid players coming. So that's going to help really make the league stronger at the end of the day, primarily.
But is that going to be bad then for Canadian development players?
I don't think so. I really don't. Like, I don't think half our rosters are going to be American players. But again, I do feel like we're a big league. We're the biggest one in the CHL, 22 teams. Like, I do think the depth in our league.
Well, the depth has, you know what, Kurt, I think there's lots of players now who are, quote, in theory, WHL players because they play in the league, but they're not talented enough WHL players. You know, I talked to an owner actually at the Oiler game the other day. He goes, I wish we went down 2 teams because there's not enough quality players. And if you took 40 players out of the league, well, that just raises everybody else up. So this way you think you could just strengthen the quality of your play overall. So it'll even help your Canadian kids who are good enough to play there. And kids who aren't ready yet, they can play it in the AJHL, the BCHL, and still improve.
Certainly. And that's it. I mean, you're going to get let's say you add 40 to 50 American players next year, and you add the 10 kids from each age group that didn't want to come before because they were going to the BCHL or the AJHL for their college eligibility to stay. And, I think one of the biggest things too that you might see happen now is that the guys that go to the AJHL at 16, 17, 18 that aren't ready for our league, you're going to get a lot of those 1-year, 19-year-old players that come and they kind of pop a little bit later.
Okay.
And you know what? They're have great years all of a sudden in the AJHL or SJ, wherever they may be. And then teams are maybe going through a rebuild or they just need a specific position. I think some of those 1-year guys are going to start coming over, kind of like the USHL model where they go and pick guys from the North American League for 1 year. I think some of that stuff could happen in junior A in Canada.
Kirt Hill joins us. He's the general manager of the Edmonton Oil Kings. And Kirt, we're here at the John Reed, and you've gone through this and you're scouting a lot of the players. There seems to be at times maybe more pressure, and maybe that's more because it's social media and every kid's stats now are public and everything else like that. How much more scouting goes into the mental side of it for young players today? Because there just seems to be so much more distractions at times and so much more, I think outward pressure that maybe wasn't there even 10, 15 years ago because of the internet.
Yeah, certainly. It's something that's looked at by our scouts. And I mean, just even when you're talking to players' advisors, they all have advisors now, just trying to get to know the kid a little bit. And I mean, we do interviews with majority of the kids in the draft too. And, just trying to get that feel for them, their personality and, what are their parents like all those little factors, reaching out to their school advisors or teachers. Like there's a lot of background that goes into a lot of these players.
Do you interview the parents with the player or do you do it separate?
And we've done both.
Okay.
Different strategies each year, different strategies for each kid. I mean, we talk to their coaches a lot, try to get the feel from their coaches through that entire process too. And I mean, they are 14 years old, so I think you got to be careful to not overthink it sometimes because, I mean, they're going to mature. And I mean, there's guys in our league that mature throughout the course of their career and finally figure it out at 19 and 22 and become pretty good players. So, but you do as much homework as you can. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's calculated risk. And where do you want to put that player in your draft board and take that risk at some point? And some of them are skilled enough. At some point, you do it sooner. Other guys, you don't.
Yeah. Looking to your team right now, the Oil Kings. And I understand why. You didn't make a ton of moves at the deadline. Lots of guys, lots of teams around you were making big moves. Your team's right in the mix for it. Was it hard when your team's good and it's right there and you see everybody else adding, but you look and say, well, our best year is probably next year and the year after. Is it easy to sit back? Or does the competitive nature, maybe we should just make one move? Like, how was it leading up to the deadline with all the competitors around you adding?
Yeah, it's super hard. It's hard to sit and, again, some teams got on it pretty early this year. And I'm usually one of the guys that likes to get on it early if we're going to do it. And, where our team was at the end of November, I thought we were in a pretty good spot, but we still were only around 500.
Yes.
And playing 15 of our first 20 on the road and a couple 3-and-3s in there, I knew it was going to be a tough schedule anyways. So I was kind of giving our team the benefit of the doubt with where we are underachieving a bit from a record standpoint. And then we went on this big run in December and early January. And, all of a sudden now we have 3 teams loading up in our division. So it makes it a little bit tougher, especially when we probably are set up a little bit more for the next 2. But again, our group's playing really well right now too. So then there's the element of the chemistry piece that comes in. And like, do you want to rock the boat of the room by getting rid of somewhat of a glue guy to upgrade maybe the skill or the talent level of that player a little bit? And again, there were some deals that were out there that just probably weren't the right fit for us. And then there's the third element of this whole trade deadline was with the picks we have this year in the draft. And, when you're talking to majority of teams, I mean, right now we have 2 picks that are in the lottery in the first round. So everybody wants those picks if you want to add a big player. And that's, again, 2 picks in the lottery could really set up an organization for a long time. So that was kind of a non-starter for us right now.
Well, it could really extend your window to be more, because a lot of times in WHL, you got to make it a 3-year really good window. Like, you get those 2 picks and you're a good team already. Like, I'm trying to think the last team that could finish top 3 that had 2 lottery picks the same year. I don't know if I can't remember the last 20 years that's happened.
Yeah, probably not.
Right. So that's a huge opportunity. So worst case scenario, what's the worst picks you can get? And like, can you get both first and second?
I guess technically there's a potential that could happen, but it's going to all depend where the standings go and how the lottery balls finish at the end of the day. So
but in theory you could, right?
Yeah, there's a chance. Yes.
So because of that, because when you're not picking high in the first round, you're scouting different players, right? Hey, we probably think this guy's going top 5. Okay, we're probably not going to have a chance. Do you have to be more in depth because you don't know where those lottery picks are going to be? You're not as, because you don't know it. Does it widen your scope, or do you automatically have the same wide scope regardless of where you pick in the first?
Yeah, I mean, again, these are usually, when you're picking late in the first round, these players are really non-starters unless you really feel you're going to step up and make a trade. And then usually when you're picking late, you have good teams, so you're usually not giving much up to move up that much in the draft. So I think in that sense, I think the scope's way wider right now in the sense we're going to be picking pretty high, but then you also have 2 second round picks. So it's like now we pretty much need to know the entire draft at the end of the day.
Yeah.
When you're picking 19, like you probably know the first 10 guys that are going to be non-starters.
Now, when you have 2 firsts and 2 seconds in the same year, would you look historically and say, maybe we should move one of those because the likelihood of all those guys coming at the same time is rare? Or does that come into the thought process at all?
Yeah, it certainly does, especially knowing now, like just the way the CHL runs now. At some point, you got to pick your window. As good of a team as you have, even as good of a team we had that one year, we still added 3 pieces to get to the Memorial Cup, and we still didn't win it. Like it's
hard.
And Seattle, look what they did.
Yeah,
and they added 5 or 6 legit players, and they didn't win it at the end of the day. So, again, there's an element of this is it's so hard to win the Western League, but you want to win the Western League, but then you want to give yourself to win the big dance too. Like that's the ultimate goal one day to try to do that. And to do that, at some point, you're going to have the inventory to make some big splashes. And so that's, I think, where the pick would come and play, to add some picks in the future to maybe make some moves.
And lastly, give me your thoughts on the evolution of young Fiddler for you this season.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. I mean, the evolution started in the summer. He had a terrific summer. I mean, he gained 15 pounds, and the off-season training plan that he had in Dallas was off the charts. And then, and that's with him trying to sprinkle in all the USA hockey stuff.
Yeah.
The crazy amount of stuff guys have to do now in the summer. It's amazing they even find the time to train, but he had a great summer, and then he came back, and he's been great for us. His defending has come a long way this year. And I think overall he's just stronger. His skating got better because he's stronger. He's harder to play against. He defends way better in front of the net. Like everything he does that's improved is a strength thing. And that comes with training in the summer. And I'm a big believer that these kids, especially at 16, 17, 18, they're way too busy. Even the World Junior guys. These guys are the amount of stuff they have to do is unbelievable for less prospect games and then World Junior camps. Like it never ends. And credit to them, they find ways to make it work and still train. But I think guys could take an even bigger step if maybe some of that stuff, I know we have to do it, but if some of it was just scaled back a little bit.
Oh, I think it's a valid point. Kirt, always good to catch up with you, man. It's great seeing you, and enjoy the scout and enjoy the rest of the tournament. And best of luck the rest of the year with the Oil Kings. I know we'll talk to you again soon. Oh, one last one. Do you have a favorite wrestler? I know next Friday is a wrestling night for the Oil Kings.
Oh, I'm probably just going to have the cookie cutter answer and say Bret Hart because
that was
your
guy
a kid growing up in Canada. I liked him.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Now, Brett, so are you too young to know like Bret Hart and Davey Boy Smith?
Davey Boy Smith, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Bret Hart, no.
Bret Hart, no. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
My parents took back in the day. They take me to the Winnipeg Arena to watch, like, in your house and stuff. So
Was Stampede Wrestling ever there, or is that before your time?
no, I was all
What?
WWF pretty much.
Oh, it's all okay. So because that's so did you ever? Well, you must have Ultimate Warrior. Is that before?
Yep.
Is that okay?
Yep. Oh
All right.
yeah.
Did you have what about Anvil Neidhart? You must have liked him then in the
Oh,
pink and black.
For
All
sure.
right. So will you suit up? Like will we see you come off the top rope?
I think Kevin Radomski should suit up before
Yeah.
me. He's got a little bit more of the build. Right?
Eddie Steele threw it out this morning on Sport. I think Eddie Steele's in the match next Friday.
Oh.
He's talking some trash on Sports 1440 today. And one thing I'll say about Eddie, like big strong dude, he'll know how to grapple. That I guarantee you. I don't know if he's going to be able to, can he fly off the top rope or not? We'll see. But I think he'd be good on the mic, and he'll know how to throw guys around the ring a little bit. So
Maybe you should make a cameo appearance.
yeah, no. Well, I'm out of town that day, unfortunately. Otherwise, I totally would. Awesome. Thanks, Kurt. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
That's Kirt Hill, the GM of the Oil Kings. Let's get to the con man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Fountain Tire. Stop in right now. The midwinter tire event is on. 20% off all in stock tires. You get great deals, great tires. FountainTire.com.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
The Edmonton Oilers making some news today, signing veteran defenseman John Klingberg to a 1-year, $1 million pro-rated contract. Klingberg was a free agent. He hasn't played a game in the NHL since November 11th of 2023. He spent last year with the Maple Leafs, signing a 1-year contract at 5 assists and was a -7 in 14 games before undergoing season-ending surgery on his hip. The Oil off tonight, back in action tomorrow. Taking on the Canucks tomorrow. Puck drop 8 o'clock. Tonight, though, just 2 games. Penguins in Buffalo. You also have the Hurricanes hosting the Golden Knights. Both of those games starting at 5 o'clock. And the Association, the Raptors in Milwaukee to take on the Bucks. Tip-off at 6:30. Also, Timberwolves in New York. Heat hosting the Nuggets. The Thunder take on the Mavs. And the Lakers up against the Brooklyn Nets. The CFL suspended veteran defensive back Lucius Purifoy for 2 games for violating the league's drug policy. Hours before the announcement, the Edmonton Elks released Purifoy. The 32-year-old American spent the last 2 seasons in the green and gold, appearing in 31 regular season games. In the WHL, the Oil Kings are in Regina, take on the Pats. That'll get going just after 6. In the AJ, Fort Mac in Whitecourt, Camrose hosting Bonneville, Drayton Valley Peaks on Calgary, and Olds will host Drumheller. All those games start at 7. PWHL, Minnesota in Montreal, 5 o'clock puck drop there. The Golden Bears hockey team taking on Regina tonight and tomorrow down at the Drake. 7 o'clock starts. Both Knights and the Pandas in Regina tonight at 6 at the Saville Center. Both Pandas and Golden Bears taking on UBC. It's the Pandas at 6, then the Bears at 8. And McEwen men's hockey team on the road in Calgary taking on Mount Royal. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we will be joined by Jeff Patterson, talks to Vancouver Canucks. We'll also hear another edition of Cam Tate, 2-minute warning. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
It's Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Center. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience. But it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Center's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-660-0514 or visit EdmontonExpoCenter.com today.
For years now, we've been warning Edmontonians on the hazards of our stormwater facilities. While they may appear to look like still ponds, there is moving water beneath the surface, which makes the ice dangerously. The unpredictability of stormwater facilities makes them treacherously unsafe for all winter activities, even walking. So think twice. Don't go on the ice. A safety message from EPCOR.
Wow. Get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today. day.
We now have a post-game show on Sports 1440. After the next game, tune in to Andrew Walker as he breaks down the game with you. The post-game show brought to you by the Ridge Social Eatery, St. Albert.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Can Torque. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantorque.com.
.306, welcome back. Sports 1440. Jason Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. I'm just watching the replay on the Maxim Siplikov. He got suspended 3 games for an illegal check to the head against Flyers forward Ryan Poling. And from one angle, it looked like, oh, geez, I thought he got his shoulder. And then you look at the other angle, you're like, nope, that was a smack right in the head. So Poling went down pretty hard, and Siplikov was actually having a pretty good rookie season. And honestly, it looked like he was going to hit him in the shoulder. If you watch that replay, it looks like he's coming right at the shoulder and then just misses it. Not by much, but oof. I still think he might have got a bit of a shoulder, but either way, clearly got a lot of the head. So I think it's you're going to have to do more of that for sure. So when I say of that, it's getting the shoulder. We'll have Jeff Patterson joining us from Vancouver. We've got Craig Button, Mark Spector, Alan Mitchell. We got a load of text coming in, 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440 in our EWEL inbox. The Oilers, we got to get in. We haven't talked a lot about last night's game, but I think I can't think of a game that I would say was that one where, how many of you watching it thought it was Goodnight Irene when it was 3-0? Because I think you would have been in the majority at that point. They're on the road, second half of a back-to-back, third game in 4 nights. You're playing the Colorado Avalanche. You have the 4th best record in the NHL over the last 4 months. You got a goalie who hasn't allowed 2 goals since being acquired by Colorado. Because the last time, now this, in the McDavid era, this is the 3rd time, second in the regular season, where the Oilers trailed 3-0 in the first period and came back to win. They defeated, remember the LA Kings in the playoffs in 2023. They were down 3-0. You remember that game on the road, right? Then they came back and won 5-4 in overtime. I think Zach Hyman. Was it Hyman who scored the overtime winner that game? Or maybe it was McDavid. One of the two.
Pretty sure Hyman.
Hyman, yeah. And then they defeated Vancouver Canucks 4-3 back in February of 2021. They also, then you got to go back to 2015 against the Montreal Canadiens. At home, they were down 3-0, came back and won. But so it's happened, but it's a rarity. And you know what? That's a big one against the Colorado team that was good. And in the fashion that they came back, they got that Arvidsson goal, which is one I think Blackwood is, as well as he played in a lot of spaces, that's a goal he would like back. And when you think of timing, if it's 3-0 going into the first intermission, it's just a different feel than 3-1. Especially because late they had some good chances. They scored one. You had the Draisaitl nice save by Blackwood. But they're probably thinking, okay, but if you don't score, you're thinking, oh, God, we can't beat this guy. But they scored, and now they think, hey, we got a shot. And away they go. So it's I was very impressed by last night. can you think of it? Not a game. There's been games they've played better start to finish, no question. But the LA King playoff game, yes. But those type of games are rare, man. And the LA Kings game wasn't a back-to-back. It wasn't a 3rd and 4 nights. Your opposition was exact even as you. That's what, to me, makes this more impressive. With all the travel from Edmonton to Seattle to Boston to Pittsburgh to Chicago to Edmonton, back to Minnesota to Colorado. And that's the effort and performance you come up with that. That's a huge, man. Like if you're Chris Knoblauch, you're the players, you're going to be able to use that as an example of, guys, we got what it takes here. We're down 2-0 after whatever. Like that becomes huge. It just gives you such a boost of your belief system, I have to think. So it was massive. Hey, Gregor, don't forget also the oldest team in the NHL. Now, are they the oldest team now, Dwayne, if Derek Ryan's not in the lineup? I have to look that up. Right, because Ryan comes in out for Phillips. That's 12 years, right? For that many players, you're talking, you divide the numbers there. It's going to change it a little bit because I think when they were the oldest, it was like they were 31.3, and there's lots of teams at 31.2 and 31.1. So, on the games when Corey Perry's not in the lineup and Derek Ryan's not in the lineup, the Oilers are suddenly a way younger team. So, but point made about the travel for sure, the altitude, everything else. It was fantastic, man. Fantastic. Hey, guys, I thought the mini game was the lost cause when they were down 2-0. Well, hey, that's the thing. You're right. Good point. Texter 3,500. They 2-0 in mini, 3-0 in Colorado, and you win both of those games. Come on. That's pretty good. Now, Minnesota was also, that was a game I thought they'd win because Minnesota was so depleted due to injuries. But the game last night, like Nathan McKinnon scored 2 goals. And I do want to get your thoughts on the third goal. Because I see, Bouchard, he pick up his jockstrap. I'm like, what do you mean? So McKinnon makes his first move, and Bouchard actually, I thought, made a good reaction. He got a skate on it. Right? He knew what was coming. He got a skate on it. It just hits the skate, comes back. I didn't, obviously it's a great burst of speed by McKinnon, don't get me wrong, but that was not one where, you think the guy's looking up in the rafters for his jockstrap. Right? He had the awareness to get, and kicked out, just didn't get enough on it. So I didn't think that play was that awful. That awful. Hey, boys, they didn't come back down 3-0 to Pittsburgh. I sure wasn't expecting it last night from the mighty Cobra. Good memory, man. That's true. Jeez, when you pointed out they're down in Chicago, they're down. They've been down a lot lately, actually. The last 4 games, they've given up the first goal after scoring first 7 times. So that's a trend they would like to end. But the difference is, when they've been down, they've been able to come. I got to look up their record now in the whole NHL. It might be what the winning percentage when you give up scoring first, because there's not a lot of teams that come back. So I'll look that up in the break. But I'm going to guess Edmonton has really skyrocketed up those charts now on the record overall when giving up the first goal. I wouldn't be surprised at all. So we'll see about that. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Hey, Gregor, does Brown go down now when they bring up Klingberg? Well, I would guess. I can't say for certain, but I would guess that that's going to happen. You don't need 8 defensemen. There's no reason to have 8. So, because you're just, you're eating up space into LTR. So I don't see why you do it, right? Like, you don't need 4 healthy guys sitting around, 2 forwards, 2 defensemen. No thanks. I wonder how long do we see 14 forwards in Edmonton? Now, there's the respect factor there. I get it, but I wonder if we see a difference there. Hey, guys, we love Draisaitl so much that we'd be totally willing to sacrifice our pet snail, Pygmalion, if he wants some escargot. I don't know. Is he a snail fan? Does he like escargot? I'll say I've never had escargot. Connor, have you?
No,
I don't.
Don't think I ever will.
I've had I like a lot of fish, calamari, but I can't say if I've ever had escargot. Anybody out there, let me know. Escargot fans, good? I wouldn't say fans. Obviously, if it's fans, they like it, but. Like, how do you rank escargot? And is there anything it compares to? Just a random, nothing to do with sports question. What's escargot like? What does it compare to? So I would be, I'd carry. Hey, guys, I nearly gave up after the first goal. Oilers' first goal. And then I was waiting from Fraser and Red Deer. Well, a lot of you, and I appreciate the text. Greg's, I'll be honest, big regret. I shut the game off when McKinnon made it 3-0. P.S. Idiot. Oh, you like now. So you shut it off, and so you weren't on your phone. You weren't checking any updates. You obviously, I don't know. Maybe you're watching a movie, just completely out of it. Now, here's a question I ask for people. So let's say if you're frustrated in the game, you're down 3-0. Do you record the game before you shut it off, just in case, or do you just say I'm frustrated, TV's off? I'd be curious. Like my job, I can never shut it off. Oh, trust me, there's times I'd like to. There's times I'd like to, for sure. Hey, guys, at the price for Klingberg, it doesn't seem like too much of a risk. Can you explain, though, the difference in cap hits, Jordy? Well, Jordy, like I said, so he, and I should look it up, but I don't have the exact wording of the rule, but because it's a signing bonus mid-season of $350K, his cap hit actually goes up higher. It's actually, according to now that's if he signs today now, because it hasn't officially been signed yet. They're working, so maybe the paperwork doesn't come in until tomorrow. We'll see. But either way, according to Puckpedia's calculations, he's a $1.74 million cap hit when they're in LTIR. If they're not in LTIR, then he's an $824,000 cap hit, because that's the actual money. So because when he signs $1 million prorated salary, it's so he is getting and it's because he got 350 signing bonus, right? So 824 minus 350. That's what he's getting in cash, which is $474,000 in actual cash. That's what's owed out of the prorated left on the season of the million, 474. So basically 47.4% of the season. Okay. That's what's left to play in days. So that's why he gets that base. But then he gets the other 350 signing. So that puts him up to actual cash he'll earn is 824. But that's where the cap sometimes gets weird for you. Now we see it all the time. Like you can be a $6 million cap hit, but make $8 million in cash one year and then $4 million the next, right? That works. But in this case, it's odd because he's getting paid 824 in cash. That's the maximum he can make in cash is 824. His cap hit is 824 if they're not in LTIR. When they go to LTIR, he's a 1.73 cap hit. So, or 7.4. So there's a $900,000 difference. Maybe, you know what, Cons? We'll try to track down Hart maybe on Monday to get a more in-depth explanation to why that is. And the in-season signing bonus, why? Now, I'm guessing because it's not prorated. So they say, okay, it's going to count more, and that's probably why it goes up, right? It's probably 53% addition. That's what I'm going to guess, because that makes sense. So instead of the 350 and the prorated 1 million, which is 1.35, now it goes up that extra percentage. I just figured it out. Oh, there you go. That makes sense. All right. So instead of 350, they add it on as basically doubling your bonus. Okay. Well, that makes sense to me. So there you go. 318. When we come back, trying to make sense of the Vancouver Canucks. Oilers fans, like, are you just sitting back chuckling when you watch the circus that is the Vancouver Canucks? Because now the Oilers were down 3-0 last night. So too were the Vancouver Canucks. The Canucks came back and scored one goal, but then they lost to the LA Kings. Meanwhile, the Oilers came back from a 3-0 deficit and won 4-3. That's probably the perfect symbol of the difference in those two organizations right now. They're going in different directions. The Canucks, JT Miller, he had that 4-point game and you thought, oh, he's coming out of it. No, he's gone right back in the ditch. Elias Pettersson is still, he's around. If they had milk cartons still, those two guys might be on milk cartons right now. And they're making a combined almost $20 million between the two. Actually, their cap hit is $20 million. Ouch. That is a tough slog for the Canucks, where the Oilers will wrap up their road trip tomorrow in Vancouver. They also play the Canucks next week. So we'll talk to JP next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, live from the 46th annual John Reed Memorial Tournament. It's put on by the St. Albert Raiders hockey team, and you get lots of the best AAA U15 teams, not only from Alberta, also outside the province, also outside the country, a few teams here from the United States. So an opportunity to really test themselves against some of the best kids in that age bracket, 13 and 14-year-olds. Quick break. We'll return to the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Vimy and Donnan Hockey are dedicated to skill development for all hockey players. If you know a student athlete interested in growing as a person and a player, attend the Donnan Open House on January 23rd from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Beginner or experienced, this program nurtures and develops a student athlete's skills in a supportive environment. The Donnan Open House is a great opportunity for prospective student athletes entering grades 3 through 6 to see what Donnan Hockey and all the other sport academies at Donnan have to offer. Visit donnan.epsp.ca for more info.
Mr. Reuter makes a prank phone call.
It's ringing.
Hello?
Hello there. Is your faucet running?
Yeah, actually it is. I have this really annoying drip.
Oh, you'll want to check for mineral buildup or corrosion. Otherwise, it's likely a defective gasket or O-ring. I got him good.
Mr. Reuter, you're the worst at this.
For lousy punchlines and immaculate water lines, trust one plumber, Mr. Reuter.
A premier hockey solution with a clear path for long-term development is proud to be entering its 8th season of independent borderless hockey, featuring provincial and cross-province competition with showcase-style regular season gameplay and a strong commitment to individual skill development. It's an attractive option for those seeking family life balance. The Hockey Super League offers opportunities for both male and female athletes born between 2012 and 2017. Visit hockeysuperleague.com for more information.
It's a new year, and the Brick is clearing out their old inventory. Friday to Monday, they're blowing out furniture for up to 70% off the original price, with in-stock items ready to go and additional unadvertised discounts. Check out your nearest Brick location to find mattresses starting at $149, fabric beds starting at $199, gaming chairs starting at $119, and home decor and pillows from just $15, with more deals in every department. Plus, take 4 years to pay with no interest. Financing OAC. Exclusions apply. The Brick, saving you more.
You don't know what awaits you on the road to come, but with the 2025 XC90 from Volvo of Edmonton, you'll have the versatility to take on whatever life throws at you. The new XC90, a luxurious SUV with seating for up to 7, boasts newly upgraded body and wheel design. It's the perfect choice to drive into the coming year. And right now, you'll save $4,500 and lease from 1.49% on all in-stock 2025 XC90s. Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest.
Planning for your future. Vision Credit Union makes it simple with 2 RRSP options to fit your goals. Choose a secure term deposit RRSP with guaranteed returns or a mutual fund RRSP offering higher growth potential with exciting opportunities. With an RRSP, you'll save on your 2024 taxes, grow your investments tax-free, and get closer to your dreams, whether it's retirement or your first home. Don't wait. The deadline to qualify for 2024 tax deductions is March 3rd. Learn more at visioncu.ca.
Edmonton, the 2025 Quick Card Edmonton Minor Hockey Week is here. Celebrating 61 years of hockey excellence, January 10th to 19th. Witness over 10,000 players from more than 600 teams compete for the top spot in their division. It's one of the biggest minor hockey tournaments in the world. A heartfelt thank you to the volunteers, coaches, refs, and families who make this event possible. Come cheer for the future stars of hockey during Quick Card Edmonton Minor Hockey, proudly sponsored by Sports 1440.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Japa Machinery. Japa is digging deep on their 50-year history of supporting Alberta's construction industry with their line of special edition Blackout excavators. Visit japamachinery.com for all the details.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
324. Welcome back, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Get in the game tonight. Of course, you can use the promo code Gregor50, and you will get a free $50 play at PlayAlberta.ca. alberta.ca. And it is Friday. And you know, Lotto Max, your chance to cash in big. Get your tickets at playalberta.ca. We got a lot of texts coming in on escargot. Hey guys, closest comparable could be a mussel, but they're very good from red. Everybody's saying escargot is great, guys. They taste like salty mushrooms from Pipeline Steve. So there you go. I've never had an escargot, but. Text line. Pete, Mike, Andy, Saul, big fans. Oof. I don't mind trying new things. So I might have to. Is there any place in Edmonton that has good escargot? Anyone know? Good escargot in Edmonton or surrounding area? Let me know. 833-401-1440. Let's go around the NHL. Brought to you by McDonald's. You know what's good right now? I know Connor Halley had it the other day. The Big Mac David, which is a double Big Mac. Also, you can get the triple cheeseburger. You can try the new poutine with bacon. You got a special sundae. They got the quarter pounder with bacon, in honor of Austin Matthews, the quarter pounder salty pappy. Whew. Try it now for a limited time only at McDonald's. As Jeff Patterson joins us from Vancouver, where, oh my goodness, it is not a great time in Vancouver land, I would think. As Jeff, this is, like last night's probably symbolic of where the different direction the Oilers and the Canucks are going in. Both teams are down 3-0. The Oilers find a way to come back and win. The Canucks get blown out. They don't seem to have an answer. And when JT Miller had his 4-point game a week or so ago, I was like, okay, he's coming out of his funk, but not the case. What's wrong with Miller? Let's start there.
Oh, my. I'm just driving home from the rink right now. All that food talk made me think, like, what kind of burger would McDonald's put forth if it was like a JT Miller or Elias Pettersson menu? We probably don't have enough time to go down that road. It's wild right now. If you're one that reads body language, if you're one that just looks at sort of the way a star player carries themselves, and you're right, like the contrast between two teams that were down 3-0 last night, just there was never a thought that the Canucks top end was going to drag itself back into the fight here. And this was a response game to a 6-1 drubbing at the end of the road trip in Winnipeg on Tuesday night. So they've been outscored 11-2 in their last two games. Miller hasn't had a point since that 4-point night in Montreal, so clearly that was the outlier. And now it's all about his performance in his own end, the mistakes, the decisions he's making without the puck, and that's where it comes back to body language. And so just a ton of standing around defensively and nothing happening for him offensively. That's a pretty caustic combination, and as a result, they got 1 win in 7 and 2 in their last 10, and oh yeah, 2 of the next 3 are against the Oil.
Yeah. 1 win in their last 7, 2 in their last 10. It's not good times in Vancouver. And like any good rival, Oilers and Flame fans are very supportive of Canucks fans right now. Very, very supportive. So, the Miller-Pettersson thing, like I'm kind of perplexed because these guys have been teammates for 5 years, and they might not have been best friends, but clearly they were able to look to, to get along. So I don't know how much is that. Like, do the Canucks, to me, the prudent move might be wait where every team could make a pitch for you in the summer. Or do they just say, God, we can't wait any longer. We're going to make a move here. And Miller, because he's older, probably seems like the guy they would move. But either one's a risky trade because both right now you're trading them where their value is probably the lowest.
Yeah, and let's be clear that we've sort of moved past the firestorm of that weekend before Christmas where they hate each other and they can't coexist. That volume has diminished somewhat. Now it's just that neither one of those guys is performing anywhere close to what you would expect from a star-level player. They both have 29 points. We're past the midway mark of the season. They've missed a little bit of time, but they're going to have to hustle to be 60-point guys this season where each of them has been over 100 in one of the last 2 years. So the drop-off has just been phenomenal. We talked about Miller and the fact that he hasn't done anything in the last 5 games. Well, Elias Pettersson scored 2 goals against San Jose, the Sharks, in the game before Christmas. Those are his only goals in the last dozen hockey games. So, any way you slice it right now, Gregor, it's just such a sad state of affairs. And all of that against the backdrop of Quinn Hughes, who's doing these incredible things on a nightly basis, should be inspiring his teammates. Like, how his teammates look him in the eye is beyond me right now, because he scored in 2 of the last 3 games. He's played 30 minutes last night in a blowout loss, but, Carson Soucy got kicked out of the game and Tyler Myers got hurt, so somebody had to play. And Quinn just logs these massive minutes. He's putting up points. He tilts the ice in the Canucks' favor, and none of it matters. None of it matters because the top of the lineup can't get along. They can't produce. And it just kind of feels like it's going from bad to worse here. And it's not just 2 of the next 3 against the Oilers, but, the Washington Capitals are making their way out here. And so this schedule doesn't let up for the Vancouver Canucks. And it's just wild to me that they are behind the Calgary Flames past the midway mark of the season. I think it's hard for Canuck fans to believe that at this time 1 year ago, you roll it back 12 months, and they rolled through New York. They beat the 3 New York teams and then put the cherry on top with an overtime win in Pittsburgh. Like, they were an unstoppable force. They were scoring goals. They were fun to watch. They were having fun. And it's just such a stark contrast 12 months later. But this is where they are. They're below the playoff bar. And even after the Flames lost a pair in St. Louis, the Canucks did nothing to help their own cause. And, now the Blues are sort of in that conversation now, tied with the Canucks a point below the playoff bar. So they're scrapping and clawing here just for their playoff life, where, as everybody knows, last year 50 wins and the division title. But this is not last year, and that's becoming abundantly clear on a daily basis.
Jeff Patterson joins us talking Vancouver Canucks. And you mentioned Myers. Is he going to play tomorrow with the injury? What's up on update on him?
Yeah, he was back at practice today. It didn't appear that it was anything that's going to keep him out of the lineup. This is the other story, though, Jason, is the first half of the season, they dealt with their share of adversity. They did. The season starts with Thatcher Demko on the shelf, Dakota Joshua diagnosed with testicular cancer on the eve of training camp. And the fact that he's playing at all this season is, that's an incredible story, but he just hasn't launched. He's out again right now with a knee injury. Yeah. He is the only player that's injured. He's the only guy that's not going to be in their lineup because he's hurt tomorrow night. Like, this is as healthy as they've been. They got Philip Hronek back on Tuesday in Winnipeg. Demko's been back for 9 games. He has 2 wins in that time. Like, the Vezina finalist, Thatcher Demko, is just nowhere to be seen. And yeah, it was going to take him a little while to work his game back, but Kevin Lankinen has given them enough goaltending. Goaltending hasn't been the issue here. The issue is locker room dynamics and underperforming stars, especially one that's now paid $11.6 million for the next 8 seasons.
Yikes. Jeff Patterson from Rink Wide, of course, on Canucks Army and the Nation Network. You look at the injuries of this team and the uncertainty in goal. I've heard lots and I've seen lots. They need more guys who can move the puck. Easier said than done. They waived Brandstrom. Is there a fix, do you see, other than Hronek getting healthy for this blue line? Do you see them? Because last year the Canucks were never afraid to make trades. They were at one point in the first 4 months of the year, they'd made more trades themselves than the whole rest of the league. Do you see them getting aggressive again, or are they going to keep their powder dry looking for a defenseman?
Well, and I think this is where we're at now, that management is culpable in all of this, because they couldn't get Nikita Zadorov under contract, and they let Ian Cole walk as a free agent, and that's fine. Cole's a 35-year-old, very much a journeyman now, but both Zadorov and Cole were big personalities in the locker room. And when we talk about the politics that are at play right now, I think those guys had a presence in the locker room. They were both veteran guys. I mean, nobody wanted to tangle with Zadorov on the ice or off the ice. And I do think that maybe those guys kept the volume down a little bit in the locker room. So they weren't replaced, but ultimately the game's not played in the locker room. It's played on the ice. And they elected to go out and bring in Derek Forbort, 6'4", plotting, penalty-killing, shot-blocking guy. And you guys know Vinny Desharnais. And neither one of them is a puck mover. Let's be honest here. And so while they may have their traits that allow them to play in the National Hockey League, you add them to a 35-year-old Tyler Myers, And Carson Soucy has just been one of the big disappointments this year for whatever reason. There's not a lot of flash to his game, but it has dropped off considerably. And so Hronek missed 21 games, and it was Quinn Hughes and then a cast of, basically depth defenders. And so you can understand why the results were fairly predictable. But Hronek's back now, and nobody in this city can understand, like, where is the general manager, this aggressive general manager, Jim Rutherford, who's made a career of getting ahead of the market and trying to beat market-setting prices. And they've just let this roster sort of flap in the breeze, and it's bad right now. It's really bad. And so, yeah, they've been trying to accrue cap space, and we all thought it was building towards, something big ahead of the deadline, but they need help now. Like, they don't need help tomorrow. They need help today. They needed help yesterday. And so it's really difficult. We haven't heard from Patrick Allvin outside of his one fairly explosive question and answer that he did with one of the writers out here, sort of looking back at the calendar year, so late December. Yeah. But in terms of, facing questions in front of microphones and cameras, we haven't heard from the general manager of the Vancouver Canucks since early November. And people are wondering, like, where is Patrick Allvin and what is he up to? What's he doing to pass the days these days? So it's just dysfunction across the board at the management level, the coaching level, and ultimately the players that are putting the uniform on and not getting the job done on the ice.
Yeah, it's not ideal. And so they host the Edmonton Oilers, who have the best record in the NHL since November 1st, best record in the NHL actually since October 16th. They had a huge come from behind victory last night in Colorado. And it's still a rivalry. So you know what? I think Edmonton might get up for it, no question. So when you look at it, now we don't know if McDavid and Draisaitl are going to play together again. They did last game and it worked, so maybe they will one more time. But who do you think would be the matchup for the Canucks with Rick Tocchet having last change to go up against McDavid's line?
Well, I mean, the initial answer would be JT Miller, but JT Miller was supposed to try to neutralize Kyle Connor in Winnipeg, and Connor had a natural hat-trick 13 minutes into the hockey game. Now, the Canucks didn't have a lot of change there, so they couldn't dictate the matchups, but they did last night, and Alex Turcotte playing with Kempe and Kopitar, he opens the scoring with 2 goals. I thought we were going to see natural hat-tricks to open the scoring in consecutive games against the Canucks, but Miller was out there. Like, they had the matchup against Kopitar's line, and they just flushed the night. So, Elias Pettersson's level right now isn't at the point where he can take on, I don't think, one of those matchups. So I am curious how Chris Knoblauch handles his lineup and ultimately how the Canucks respond. My guess is that JT Miller probably gets the assignment to start, but again, he's just looked so just devoid from an attachment to the game, like the body language. I come back to that, to his investment, his play in his own end. If he couldn't contain the Los Angeles Kings, what's going to happen against McDavid and Draisaitl? So we saw what happened back in November when the Oilers came in, grabbed a 3-0 lead, and ultimately rolled to a 7-3 victory. I think people here are fearing that this could be another blowout at the hands of the Edmonton Oilers. And if that's the case, then that's going to be 3 straight bad losses for the Vancouver Canucks. But that's why they play the games. Let them suit up. We'll give them a chance. But, man, it's got to be better than it was against the Jets or the Kings these last 2 outings.
Who will start in goal tomorrow for the Canucks?
Yeah, Rick Tocchet wouldn't name a starter this afternoon. I know they want to get Thatcher Demko on some sort of a roll here that he hasn't played an awful lot in the last, really since the new year. He had a bit of a back spasm that kept him out for a handful of games. So Lankinen's been carrying the load, but he got lit up by the Jets the other night. Demko got schooled by the Kings, and it's kind of pick your poison. My hunch is that they'll go back to Demko just because they do want to get their Vezina finalist up and running and try to get his groove back, but easier said than done. And look, I look at the goals individually last night. There wasn't a bad one in the bunch. They lost 2-0 in Carolina last week, and he can't score goals for them, and he kept them in the game and gave them an opportunity. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll find out at the morning skate, I imagine, tomorrow, but my hunch is that the Oilers will see Thatcher Demko tomorrow.
And Jeff, you talked about the Canucks' need for a puck-moving defenseman. The Oilers just signed John Klingberg today to a 1-year deal. Do you think the Canucks had any interest in him? And what's your thoughts on that signing by the Oilers?
Yeah, my sense is that the Canucks did their diligence, but I don't think they were really ever true players in this one. And obviously Klingberg gets to handpick where he wanted to land, and so he's found himself a pretty good landing spot. I'm curious. We've seen with mixed results, right? Like Patrick Kane's come back from hip resurfacing and been able to resume his career. It ended Ryan Kessler's career, Nick Backstrom in Washington. Like, it's a pretty significant procedure. And let's be honest, too, that it wasn't like he was lighting up the National Hockey League in really any of his last couple of stops. So it's curious to me, but it's not a big spend for the Edmonton Oilers. They're not going to ask too much of this guy. Right shot defenseman or a commodity. We know that as well. So, with some intrigue, I'm kind of curious to see how this all plays out. And if it doesn't work out for the Oilers, then, hey, really haven't gambled an awful lot. So I think there is some upside there. And we'll see if Klingberg can get back to looking like he did, 3 or 4 years ago, where this was a pretty dynamic puck-moving guy with a fair bit of offense to his game. I just wonder, what does he have sort of after stepping away from really the last couple of seasons?
Yeah, no, that's a very fair question, and we probably won't know until we see him on the ice for a bit. Jeff, great stuff as always, man. Really appreciate it. Have yourself a great day.
Thanks for having me on.
That's Jeff Patterson from Rink Wide in Vancouver, longtime beat reporter for the Canucks, and things aren't great right now in old Canuckville. And I sense a lot of empathy from Oilers fans. Lots of empathy. Yeah, right. Or should you be? Oh, man, we do have lots of texts coming in on a positive Friday. Hey, you know what? Misery loves company, as they say. But I also think sometimes in sports, opposing fans enjoy a rival's misery. And if I'd ask Oilers fans who they like to see more miserable, Vancouver or Calgary, I think that'd be a tough question. If you only get one answer, I think they might lean toward Canuck fans. That would be my guess. We'll see. Quick break. We'll return. We got the 2-minute morning. Craig Button is coming up. More on the Oilers and a huge victory last night. I got Stuart Skinner. Hey, you know what? You might not like the second goal, whatever. I thought after that, obviously he was perfect. When they were down 3-0 and made some big saves to keep him in. You got Arvidsson with the goal late in the first, and then the Oilers just after that, I thought played exceptionally well. And that's a huge win for them. Huge win. 16th time in franchise history that includes playoffs, because it happened against the Kings in 2023, where they were down 3-0 in the first period and came back to win the game. Quick break. We'll return on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's Aquasential reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade. Safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
Your vehicle is a big investment. Protect it at Hughes Car Wash. We use only clean, fresh water and the highest quality car wash soap. Hughes Car Wash, the car wash pros.
Find us at HughesCarWash.com.
At Leading Edge Physiotherapy, we believe in the wisdom of Patch Adams. Treat a disease, you win, you lose. Treat a person, I guarantee you'll win no matter what the outcome. We don't treat conditions, we treat people. From personalized treatment plans to compassionate care, we're committed to helping you achieve your goal. That's why hands-on techniques, unique technology, and a commitment to hiring amazing people mixed with friendly, fun neighborhood environments. And ta-da! No, it's not magic. It's about being human. Sometimes being human hurts, but life shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at cantorque.com.
90 days? You're telling me I can buy a 2024 or 2025 Buick or GMC from Wolf GMC Buick and make no payments for 90 days? Whoa. And you're telling me there's more? It's the final days of GMC's employee pricing on remaining 2024 Sierra HDs and Yukons? Clearly now is the time to buy a new vehicle. I'm heading to Wolf GMC Buick, corner of 184th Street and Stony Plain Road. It's mere seconds east of the Anthony Henday.
Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
When picking a New Year's resolution, try to avoid things you have no influence over.
Like bringing home the cup? That would be awesome.
But completely outside your control. Instead, pick something you can control, like bringing home some Wilhauk beef jerky.
That would also be awesome. But what if we brought the cup home to Canada and it was filled with Wilhauk beef jerky?
Okay, I'll allow it.
Wilhauk beef jerky, only available in Leduc. Get yours today, because you don't win cups with salad.
A direct truth about the new year. It's a great time to make a change for the better. Like starting yoga, because bending like that will be easy one day, right? A direct truth about your electricity bill. You can make a change you'll want to stick with. Switch to Direct Energy on a 2-year plan and save up to 30% off the rate of last resort. Terms apply. See directenergy.ca for details.
Customers are free to purchase natural gas services or electricity services from a retailer of their choice. For a list of retailers, visit ucahelps.alberta.ca or call toll-free in Alberta 310-4822.
Of course, this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Papa John's would like to say thanks to their pizza-loving customers. Take 40% off any pizza this week. Use code TY40 at papajohns.ca.
Look good, feel good, play good. It's the Jason Gregor Show. Thanks for listening to Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.347, welcome back. Positive Friday. Jason Gregor Show, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get in the game. How about $55 million up for grabs tonight? And Lotto Max, get your tickets at PlayAlberta.ca as we are coming to you live today from the 46th annual John Reed Memorial Tournament. And the hosts, the St. Albert Sabres, victorious 4-2, so that they move on to the quarterfinals as they are second in their pool. So there's 16 teams. You got 4 pools of 4, and you play everybody once, and then the top 2 teams in each pool move on to the medal round, and the other 2 will play in a consolation game. So everybody's guaranteed at least 4 games. And if you are interested in some great hockey, you can check it out. It's all day tomorrow. The playoff. I gotta look the exact. I think the first game. It starts at 8:15 a.m., no joke, because you'll play quarterfinals, and then the semifinals will be at night. Remember the days, man, the tournaments, just something great about you when you get to play 2 hockey games in a day. And the odd time, if I've been in tournaments where you play 3 on the Sunday, if you're into the final, more so at younger ages, couldn't play 3 now at AAA U 15. I just think that, the kids exert too much energy. You just wouldn't have much gas left in the tank. But it's still the old 2 games in a day. And then the final will go tomorrow. 11:15 is the bronze medal game. And then the final will be at 2 o'clock. The semifinals tomorrow night, 7:30 and 7:15 will be the games here at the Service Place. Of course, Troy Murray, Mark Messier arenas, and the Performance Arena. They're using all 3 this weekend. And lots of scouts around, lots of real good hockey to enjoy as well. I see one of our partners, Cattail Crossings here as well, doing mixing in a little golf and hockey. And they had the something new for Edmonton Minor Hockey Week last week was all the U9 kids got to play outdoors at Cattail. I talked to a few kids that were here that, I know they're younger siblings of kids that I've coached, and they just love it. Like it's, the great thing about U9, like, that's the kids are so fired up about almost anything. And for lots of them, they never played an actual game. They practice, maybe you go pick up shinny, but to play an actual organized game outdoors near little kids, kind of a big deal. It's pretty fun. So I like that little new wrinkle. And I've heard the feedback is great. So they're probably going to do it again at Cattail Crossing next year for the U9s in Edmonton Minor Hockey Week, which is fantastic. We got a lot of texts coming in, 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Hey, guys, it's definitely a lot more satisfying seeing the Canucks implode. Calgary's our biggest rival, but I don't remember their fans being as obnoxious as Canuck fans were in the playoffs and still now from Juice. So when I asked who do you take more enjoyment in watching struggle, Vancouver or Calgary? Guys, always nicer to see the Canucks struggle more than the Flames, as the Oilers and Flames are at least in Alberta. That one comes from Richie. Guys, my heart bleeds for Canucks fans. Yeah, right. I do expect Vancouver's best tomorrow night, though. Well, we'll see, but right now, is their best good enough? That'll be the question. I don't know. I'm not sure. Sorkons, what were you saying?
Yeah, Gregor, we just got a text coming in here from Christina. I just wanted to get it out here. She says, hello, Sports 1440. I apologize sincerely. This took me a few days to do. Just wanted to thank Jason and the team at 1440. Kind of a long story, so please bear with me. My name is Christina. Last June, I lost my 28-year-old daughter after a hard-fought battle with sickness. There are no words to explain how a parent feels to lose their baby. Clearly, I was a mess, still am. My daughter, Haley, was a huge Oilers girl. She knew hockey. My mom, Yvonne, raised us all to be Oilers fans. We're diehards. My mom did absolutely everything for me during the immediate loss of Haley. She paid for the funeral, which left her struggling financially. I only received $900 a month for medical disability. I lost my home as Haley and I split the rent, etc. Things are tough, but on Monday the 13th, Jason gave me tickets for that game for absolutely nothing, to take my mom to do something nice for her, as she is the best person I know. She deserved a night out at an Oilers game. We had the best time ever. Though things are tough, I've been staying on a friend's couch, but she's moved out of the province. I'll be struggling even more. But to have one night where we didn't have to worry about anything meant more than you all know. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. So, Christina, our condolences, and glad to hear that you got to have a nice night out with her mom watching the Oilers.
Yeah, that is great. Yeah, you know what? When sometimes when we have tickets and if you have a spare pair around it, she'd sent in a note for tickets. I think it was a month or so earlier, and just didn't work out. And so I just saved it and thought, you know what, why not? We'd had some tickets that were that weren't being used, and thought to give it to someone. Why not? So happy to hear. I didn't know that. I didn't know the story that in depth, of course. So that makes it feel even better. He gave it to someone who could really use it. So it's a good Positive Friday text, Christine. Thank you very much for that. It fits in very well on Positive Friday. Now, let's get to the 2-minute warning brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where the rates never change. No overtime charges. Furnace conks out tonight on the weekend. Don't worry. They'll come fix it at no extra charge. Tell you build a legacy at legacyheating.ca. Cam Tate, longtime journalist in Edmonton. Cam is in a wheelchair, has cerebral palsy. And because of that, has never been able to be on radio until now. Through the wonders of technology, Cam's words come to life in the 2-minute warning.
He had that grin just before he bent over to take a face-off, and a look on his face that very sternly said, I'm going to win that face-off, we're going to control the puck, and then I'm going to score. Of course, that didn't happen every face-off, but the look of try, the look of compete, and that look of succeeding while having fun. That look, you ask? It belonged to one Johnny Reed, not John Reed, Johnny Reed, and man, was he good. Johnny played bantam and midget with my brother Brad. West End, Canadian Athletic Club. I attended most of their games. Jasper Place Arena. It was called, now Bill Hunter Arena. Johnny always, and I mean, always said hi. And he did, with that smile. A mixture of mischief, compete, but fun. Brother Brad, a defenseman who, even if I say so myself, was pretty good, often mentioned how he always looked for Johnny. Not John, you understand, Johnny. When he was head, manning the puck. With Mr. Gregor at the service place in the St. Albert. See what I did there? At the John Reed Memorial. I remember the young man so well, and how he took that infectious spirit into playing high level. Alberta Junior Hockey League, Sherwood Park Crusaders, and then the University of Alberta Golden Bears. We lost. Johnny, 2003, cancer. Bet when Mr. Gregor, heavy on the mister, looks across the ice, he will see countless players who will have that look of confidence, of compete, of having fun, the look of Johnny Reed, the 2-minute warning, with me, Tater, Monday, Friday, Gregor Show Sports, 1440.
Great job, Tater. Yes, that was, that's what this tournament's been about. And I love that they keep it going in memory of John Reed. And I can't be like the 46th annual. There's a lot of volunteers over the years who have been a part of this tournament. There's lots of players who have played. Many of you have maybe watched it, and it's grown a lot. It's obviously changed a little bit over time now, just as hockey overall has changed. And what's cool that I like is that you have the academies and the associations all together in tournaments like this. It's great. These, those teams I'm sure would probably want to play each other a little bit more if they could. So that's a big bonus, and I'm sure the scouts love it having everybody here together at one time. Coming up after 4 o'clock, Craig Button will join us. We'll get his thoughts. John Klingberg, we asked you about it earlier, and so far it seems like a pretty low risk bet here for the Edmonton Oilers, right? So they signed him. It's a 1-year deal. There's no chance. So I just want to clarify. He got a signing bonus, not a performance bonus. A performance bonus like Connor Brown had signed, where you had to play 10 games. That's something that happens during the year. And then when you're at the cap, if you go over, then it's bonus overages. Because it's a signing bonus, it counts right away towards this season. But because it's an in-season signing bonus, the cash he gets paid is $350,000. And then his $1 million prorated salary is about $474,000 in actual cash. So he gets paid $824K in cash, in case you're wondering. But his cap hit, if the Oilers are in LTIR, then his cap hit is $1.74 million. If they're not in LTIR, then it's just the $824K. And so they do that because, so essentially they penalize you for an in-season signing bonus. It's like it's double. So the prorated is the $1 million plus the $350 of a signing bonus, and then you double the $350, which would get you to 1.7. And because the season, they're played over 54%, they include that as well. So that's why you get that extra $4,000 or 52%, whatever the number is. Okay, because he's getting 474, basically 47.4%. So that extra 2.6 is what bumps it up. If I'm doing the math in my head, I think that's how it works. So either way, it's kind of a weird thing when you see the prorated and the prorated base and the signing bonus. That's actually not what it counts against the cap, according to Puckpedia. So there you go. 3:57. We'll return. Craig Button will join us after Connor Halley in a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Booster Juice. Booster Juice, of course, you've all tried it. You love the smoothies and everything else. Well, they got some fresh grilled, savory hot food as well. You can get the paninis, you can get the breakfast wraps. Try it now at Booster Juice or download the Boosters Reward app.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Veteran defenseman John Klingberg returning to the NHL with the Oilers on a 1-year, $1 million pro-rated contract. He's not played in the NHL since November 11th of 2023. On the ice tonight, we got 2 games to look forward to. Both being going at 5 o'clock. Sabres and Penguins. Also, the Golden Knights, South Carolina, taking on the Hurricanes. The CFL suspended veteran defensive back Lucius Purifoy for 2 games for violating the league's drug policy. Hours before the announcement, the Edmonton Elks released the Purifoy. He spent the last 2 seasons in the green and gold, playing in 31 games. In the association tonight, Raptors will take on the Bucks. That gets going at 6. Oil Kings in Regina taking on the Packs. That's also a 6 o'clock start. In the AJ, you got Fort Mac and Whitecourt. Camrose hosting Bonneville. Drayton Valley takes on Calgary and Olds in Drumheller. All those games start at 7. PWHL, Minnesota's in Montreal. That is a 5 o'clock start there. And the Golden Bears taking on Regina tonight and tomorrow down at the Drake. Both those games will start at 7. The Pandas in Regina tonight at 6 at the Saville Center. We've got basketball action. Pandas host UBC at 6, and the Bears doing the same. That one gets going at 8 o'clock. McEwen men's hockey team on the road in Calgary taking on Mount Royal. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll ask 5 questions and be joined by TSN's Craig Button. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
Adventure just doesn't stumble into your life. It roars to life with Riverside Motorsports. Tearing up trails or cruising the open road, Yamaha ATVs, side-by-sides, motorcycles, and dirt bikes deliver the performance you crave. Built for thrills, ready for your next adventure. Yamaha's legendary performance and reliability take you there. Make Mother Nature your playground on a Yamaha from Riverside Motorsports. Located on St. Albert Trail. RideRiverside.com. Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
Every nickel that you don't pay in interest is a nickel back in your pocket. So make a 0% interest deal with your friends at St. Albert Dodge. Right now, you can drive away in Motor Trend's Truck of the Year, the 2025 Ram 1500, with 0% financing. There's a great selection, over 100 on the lot. Or if you'd like to get some cash back to pay off your credit cards and start the year fresh, they can help you with that too. Just head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Elevate your game with the Basketball Show, hosted by me, Paul Sir. Tune in Saturday mornings at 10 for expert insights, exclusive interviews, and the latest hoops action. It happens right here on Sports 1440.
Could your school, charity, or community group use financial support with a capital project? Maybe Vision Credit Union can lend a helping hand. Vision proudly offers helping hand grants of up to $10,000 to qualifying organizations for capital projects that benefit our branch communities. Apply by January 31st, 2025 for a chance to qualify. Helping hand grants up to $10,000 from Vision Credit Union. Learn more at whatsyourshare.ca.
Picture this, a snowy morning, and you're staring at where your driveway used to be. Your neighbor's Toyota RAV4 with all-wheel drive cruises by unfazed, making winter look easy. You're thinking, that should be me. Yes, it should. It's time to upgrade your winter. It's time to Toyota. Lease a 2025 RAV4 LE all-wheel drive from $95 weekly for 60 months at 6.69% with $3,999 down. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Prairie Toyota dealer today.
A direct truth about the new year. It's a great time to make a change for the better. Like trying to make sourdough, once you eventually figure out the starter. A direct truth about your electricity bill? You can make a change you'll want to stick with. Switch to Direct Energy on a 2-year plan and save up to 30% off the rate of last resort. Terms apply. See directenergy.ca for details.
Customers are free to purchase natural gas services or electricity services from a retailer of their choice. For a list of retailers, visit ucahelps.alberta.ca or call toll-free in Alberta 310-4822.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. The team in Old Strathcona has special training dedicated to reducing the impact of cancer care before, during, and after your diagnosis. From lymphedema to the management of fatigue and side effects of chemotherapy and radiation, they can help. Learn more at leadingedgephysio.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Just after 4 o'clock. Welcome back on a positive Friday. Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. It is the Jason Gregor Show, sports1440.ca, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get in the game. Use the promo code Gregor50. And hey, if you've used it before, don't worry, you get a new one every month. So good luck. Spend it wisely. PlayAlberta.ca. As we are coming to you live from the 46th annual John Reed Memorial Tournament. It's ongoing today, of course, goes through the weekend with quarterfinals and semifinals tomorrow, and then the finals get going on Sunday. And you know what? Should be great. It's already great. You know what? Yesterday is when they kick it off, and they always have the host St. Albert Raiders team play at around 11:30. And there's 1,400 students here. I walked in there yesterday because we were testing to get it set up. I needed earplugs. Like, they're just screaming. They're having like the time of their life. They're loving it. And for the players, it's probably the biggest crowd they played in front of ever, right? 1,400 kids. Never mention all the parents and adults in the crowd. So that is a huge deal for the kids, both in St. Albert and who they're playing. They were up 4-0, and then it turned out they ended up winning 4-3. So it was a pretty exciting game, and they were just victorious again today. So they'll move on to these quarterfinals. Let's get to the Oil Report now, brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton. They are 13-time winner of excellence in sales and service, and you get great deals right now. You can get a 2025 Volvo XC90 plug-in hybrid, lease it or finance it at 1.99%, and you can save $4,500 at Volvo Cars Edmonton.com. As we welcome in Stanley Cup champion, former GM and Scott. He's coming up at 4:20. Jeez, Cons, why didn't you tell me that earlier? You saw me doing the whole liner. Lost track of time. Just wait until I'm done. Hey, just screwing me right over.
I thought you were going to give us some deep stats or something.
Oh, yeah. No, that wasn't deep stats.
420, 425.
420 for Butts. All right, switch time. So used to, you know what? I think he's been at 420 for like a month, and I keep forgetting it because he always used to be at 4 o'clock for like 10 years. So that's my bad. But yeah, we can go to the Oil Report, the stats for the Oilers last night. And we had people wondering, how often do you see a game like that? Not very often. How about in the franchise's history, that is only the 16th time that the Oilers trail the game 3-0 in the first period and managed to come back and win the game. Not bad. That's in the first period. They've had other leads. Let me get the exact number because I sent a note to the NHL statistician on just how many times in franchise history it's happened overall. But so yeah, that was the 16th time they've won after giving up a 3-0 lead in the first period. Twice in the playoffs, which of course last time happened against the Kings in 2023. 14 times in the regular season. They also, one of those was actually a 4-0 deficit. They never won when they were trailing 5-0. But overall, at any point in a game, it's the 25th time that they were down 3-0 in a game and came back. So sometimes it'd be actually down 3-0 in the second period when that 3-0 goal came, and they still managed to come back. So that's not bad at all, man. Not bad at all. So pretty rare to see. And I'd love to know how many times that's ever happened. I could probably research it, how many times it's ever happened on the second half of a back-to-back. But it happened in the playoffs against the Kings in 2023. Remember, they were down 3-0. That was not great. Also happened against the Dallas Stars. Oh, Oiler fan. Now, that one was a little bit later, but something tells me you remember that one. Kelly Buchberger, overtime winner. Some of you might have left the building in 1997. 1991, remember that one against the Calgary Flames? That was game 7 against the Flames. They were down 3-0. And then Esa Tikkanen, remember he scored the one long shot right from the blue line, and that just got it going. And they came back and they won it in overtime. Remember Messier could barely skate when he came off the bench. He puts both hands, walks through the gate, could barely skate. So that's a memorable one. Also against Winnipeg, 1988, they were down 3-0, came back to defeat the Jets. And also, if you go way back, against the Minnesota North Stars in 1984, the year the Oilers won their first Stanley Cup. They were down 3-0 to Minnesota and stormed back to win 8-5. So, yeah, but those are just the playoff ones. Regular season, obviously a few more of them. The most recent was last night. Prior to that would have been the Oilers and the New York Rangers in that's at any point. In the first period, though, I should say, first period, the last one was against the Canucks, funny enough, in 2021. On the road in Vancouver, down 3-0 in the first period, came back to win 4-3. Not bad. So, and then there was Minnesota, Montreal, Colorado twice. A few of those required overtime or a shootout. So regulation, it's even fewer times that it's occurred. So it's pretty good stuff. And to me, that's just a gutty win. It's huge. Hey, guys, The absolute most funny thing was Corey Perry watching the slap shot come up and then McDavid getting the hell out of the way when Bouchard scored the game winner. Yeah, well, you know what, Perry, if you see Corey Perry when he's doing it, he couldn't see the puck. So you kind of just say, well, geez, this one might hit me, so I'm going to try to tuck my chin in. And like that was a perfect screen. Blackwood didn't even see it. And what about I love Bouchard's post-game interview when he said, you know what, I thought I had some good chances, so I took a little bit off so I could be more accurate. Now, it's still a bomb. I'd like to know, like, when he says he takes it, I'm going to ask him next time when they're home. Like, so when he says I took a little off, like, what are we talking? So instead of 92, like, are you going down to 85? Like, how much are we talking about? And how can you be that much more accurate? Like, I guess sometimes you just, I'm going to have to kind of go in depth. I thought it was a fascinating answer from Bouchard. I goes, I just took a little bit off because that was a perfectly placed. That's not a fluke. He is aiming top corner there and rips it home. So pretty good. Hey guys, is Klingberg ready to play or is he still recovering? Well, I will say this. He's very close to playing. You're not signing him now and having him be a month away from playing. It's just wasting your cap space, right? Because you would have been able, you pay less in cap, everything would have, you save a little bit more later on, potentially. Well, at least in money spent. You wouldn't have saved much more because whatever your signing bonus is, the signing bonus is prorated in reverse, right? So because the prorated contract was, what are they, 47.4% of the season, right? That's what's left. So that's what so he'll get $474K, but the signing bonus will be the other side of it. So 52.6%. It's doubled. So his signing bonus was 350, but he counts as 350 times 2.5. So 700K and change, right? 700K, 703,000, 704,000 is what it amounts to. So 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Hey guys, how concerned are you about Klingberg career plus minus? Well, I'd have to dig into it a little bit more. On the surface, I can understand the concerns because his last few years did not look good on the plus minus sheet, right? Like wasn't he like minus 35 one year? Minus 28. So he had the back-to-back years of minus 28, one with Dallas, then the next year on a bad Anaheim team. Last year with the Maple Leafs, -7 in only 14 games. Obviously, that's not good. So yeah, like John Klingberg is not. He's not a defensive defenseman. But so if you look at Bouchard, can you have success with a defenseman who's not elite defensively, but is a very good puck mover and moves the puck? I think Bouchard's shown you can. And Bouchard, the one thing Bouchard has shown, and then in the playoffs, he can elevate his game. John Klingberg, remember the bubble when Dallas went to the Stanley Cup final in 2020? Did John Klingberg elevate his play there? Any of you remember? I don't know if you watched any of those games or not. It was in your city. I don't know if that made you more interested or not. But John Klingberg that season had 21 points in the playoffs. 21 in 26 games for the Dallas Stars. I'd say that's pretty impressive. There's a guy elevating his play. Now, I know that's a while ago, no question. But it just shows me that he's capable of it, right? He had 21 points in 26 games. Now, he was still a minus player. So I got to look up what's his, was he just on the ice for a lot of empty net goals, or is he just that bad 5-on-5? So, because he only had 7 power play points. He had 14 of his points 5-on-5, which was, or even strength. And there's not a lot of 3-on-3 in the playoffs. So most of it's 5-on-5, the odd 4-on-4 in the postseason. But I'll have to go back and look up his numbers. It's a fair question. And I think it's one, I'll look more at what are his numbers 5-on-5. Because keep in mind that even strength numbers includes empty netter. So even if you go to Natural Stat Trick and you look up even strength, 6-on-5, because they consider it even strength. Because, well, it's technically 6-on-6. Just one happens to be a goalie, and you happen to pull your goalie, or the other team pulled your goalie. So keep that in mind. But yes, John Klingberg, I think it's fair to say if there's a concern, it's How is he defensively? Totally valid. Totally valid. But if you put him with the right partner, it can help, because you believe that with Klingberg out there, he can move the puck quicker. Like, look at Darnell Nurse, and he's basically going to play with the Leon Draisaitl line. McDavid plays with the Bouchard and Ekholm line pairing a lot. Draisaitl's been playing with Nurse and whoever his partner is a lot. Now, of course, not all, but just the majority. So if that trend continues, and I see no reason why it won't, just because Klingberg's there, I think they would put Klingberg, and they would look and say, hey, Podkolzin, Arvidsson, Draisaitl, that line's been exceptional 5-on-5. If we put Klingberg in, what? We on the offense more than we're on defense. So. Hey, guys, we're paying someone $800 plus that hasn't played for 2 years, a minus player all his life, so it brings no value whether he gets 26 points in the playoffs or not. I was hoping for something a little better than another Josh Brown from Cal. Well, Cal, I think you're just looking at numbers if you're trying to compare, and you've never seen John Klingberg play, if you're trying to compare John Klingberg to Josh Brown. So just so you know, John Klingberg has not been a minus player his whole career. Actually, his first 5 years in the league, he was never a minus player. +5, +22, +4, +10, +6. All right. 40 points, 58 points, 49 points, 67 points, 45 points. Then he started to have some nagging injuries. Now, how much of this was hip stuff? We'll see. Now, some guys have come back from the surgery, most recently Patrick Kane. Other guys have not. So I don't think anybody can say for certain where Klingberg's going to be. Now, Klingberg's not been out 2 years. He played in 2023, he played 67 games in the regular season and played in the playoffs. He wasn't out. And then last year he played 14 games, then he got hurt. He hasn't played since November. So let's not spread falsehoods. He hasn't played in 14 months. That's the truth. 14 months. It's not 2 years, 14 months. Is it a concern? Yes. But he hasn't been a minus player his entire career. He can bring you a lot of offense. Now, I would be the first guy to say, hey, do the Oilers need more offense? I guess it can't hurt. But if his offense comes at the expense of John Klingberg, for every goal he gives you, he gives up one. Well, that's not good. Right? Now, you're coming into Edmonton, who right now is one of the better defensive teams in the NHL. And I know that might sound crazy for some Oilers fans, but it's true. They're a very good defensive team right now. They don't give up a ton. They play very well as a unit. They're getting solid goaltending. They're a solid team. Okay? And so Klingberg to come in here right now could help him, but he's, we got to see what he has. So I'm looking up Klingberg's numbers from the bubble the last time they were in the playoffs. And you know what? He played, he was their top four defensemen. There was Heiskanen, Lindell, Alexiak, and Klingberg. And they all played in 25 games, like a difference of about a minute and a half from Heiskanen down to Klingberg. Not even a minute and a half, because Heiskanen played about a total of, if I'm doing the math, 35 more minutes in 26 games, 5-on-5. So not a lot. And actually, Klingberg missed a game, so even less than that. So pretty even. But now I want to look at their numbers, goals for, goals against, with those guys on the ice. And Alexiak and Heiskanen were pluses. Lindell and Klingberg were minuses. Now I'd have to go back and look, okay, who did they play against? So Heiskanen played with Alexiak. Lindell played with Klingberg. Did they have more defensive starts? You got to dig into the numbers and all those things. Still not great. I think that's valid. But, we have to look at some of the numbers. Defensive zone starts. Klingberg had the fewest defensive zone starts. Offensive zone starts, he had 5 more than Alexiak and Heiskanen. So, kind of the same, but a little bit less. And again, not much less. He played 1 less game. So if you do the average, he's about 2 less defensive zone starts. So really not much more. It wasn't like they were in a defending role at all. So who do they play against? Who do they play with would be a factor. But I think it's important. I think we all know, anybody who's watched Klingberg, that's the concern. Is he going to be able to defend? Because it's hard when I look at the Oilers. Now, they went to the Stanley Cup final last year. Some of your defensemen are going to get scored on, right? Somebody's going to get scored on. It just happens. So, very few teams have everybody who's a big-time plus player at 5-on-5 in the playoffs. It's all good teams. It's not going to happen. right? Last year, the Oilers had some guys minus. They still went to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final. So, you can win without it. So I can't say that you can't win with it, but it's a valid question on how's he going to be. I don't know. It's a wild card. Let's be honest. Does anybody know? How's his mobility? Because that's the thing. John Klingberg was a very mobile defenseman. If his mobility isn't the same, then to me, that's a concern. No question. That's the concern. Quick break. We'll come back. Craig Button will join us next. But I look at it this way. You signed John Klingberg today. It's the 17th of January. They are exactly 7 weeks away from the trade deadline. So this is like a 7-week trial period, which costs you no assets, costs you a little bit of cap space that, you can get rid of if, guess what, in 7 weeks, doesn't work, you move on. No harm, no foul. So I could see that happening. We'll return on the Gregor Show with Craig Button next, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Attention drivers, it's the midwinter tire clearance sale at Fountain Tire. Right now, you can save up to 20% off all in-stock winter tires. That's right, premium brands, unbeatable safety, and incredible savings. But don't wait, this sale ends March 8th. And once they're gone, they're gone. Contact your local Fountain Tire for complete details.
McDonald's presents a hockey showdown like never before. McDavid versus Matthews. There can only be one winner, competing for all the glory and all the prize. The new menu features top shelf plays like the Smoky Quarter Poppy and the Big Mac David, so everybody scores, with even more delicious options like the Spicy Junior Chirpy. Now that calls for a silly Sunday. The Showdown menu, now available at McDonald's.
It's a new year, and the Brick is clearing out their old inventory. Friday to Monday, they're blowing out furniture for up to 70% off the original price. With in-stock items ready to go and additional unadvertised discounts, check out your nearest Brick location to find mattresses starting at $149, fabric beds starting at $199, gaming chairs starting at $119, and home decor and pillows from just $15, with more deals in every department. Plus, take 4 years to pay with no interest. Financing OAC. Exclusions apply. The Brick. Saving you more.
Looking at the Alberta weather forecast, wild, unpredictable, brutally tough.
When the weather turns tough, Titan Supply doesn't back down. Titan Supply has been protecting workers from conditions like this for 50 years. We stand tall with you against the elements with the industry's best rigging, hauling, and lifting products to get you home safe. Tire chains, wire rope, round slings, chain slings, and a whole lot more. Titan Supply in Edmonton, Grand Prairie, Red Deer, and Calgary. Online at titansupply.ca. Lift, dig, haul.
Stressed over holiday bills? Breathe easy, because with Cross Mitsubishi, you're secure and stress-free for up to 6 months. That's right, you'll make no payments for up to 6 months. Plus, Mitsubishi's 10-year, 160,000-kilometer limited warranty is the best in the industry. So when you're sitting behind the wheel, Cross Mitsubishi is standing behind you. Cross Mitsubishi. Drive your ambition. See Cross Mitsubishi in store for details. 9605 34th Ave and at crossmitsubishi.ca.
Cold, icy mornings, frozen windshield, snow in the forecast, and your vehicle won't start. You know what that means, Alberta. Winter is here. Don't get left out of the cold. Head to Napa Auto Parts today to gear up for the frosty months ahead. Winter won't wait, and neither should you. From premium batteries, starters, and alternators to high-quality wiper blades, antifreeze, and snow brushes, Napa Auto Parts has everything you need to get your vehicle winter ready and running. With over 85 locations in Alberta, stop into your local Napa store or visit NapaCanada.com for all your trusted parts, tools, equipment, and automotive needs. That's Napa know-how.
We've finished construction of our gamma radiation containment facility. Is it up to code? Is it going to be safe?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Testing team reporting. We test your commercial operations using tools like infrared to ensure safe operation. Trust us to prevent potential calamity before it strikes.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Looking for the perfect spot to unwind? Check out The Ridge Social Eatery, St. Albert. The Ridge is a locally owned, upscale neighborhood restaurant offering unbeatable daily features. Open daily at 11:30. Craving something late? Check out their new late-night menu from 8 till close. Enjoy brunch at The Ridge Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays until 2 p.m. Plus, there's open mic night every first Wednesday of the month and live music select Saturdays. Welcoming atmosphere, friendly staff, good times. For more, visit theridgestantalbert.com or social media.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantork.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.425. Welcome back, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X, live at the John Reed Memorial Tournament. It's the 46th annual here in St. Albert, and of course goes through the weekend. If you're looking for some great hockey action to watch, get down here. You have the quarterfinals and semifinals tomorrow, and then the finals go on Sunday. And lots of hey, if you want to see some good players, maybe, son or daughter, you want to see kind of, if your kid's a little bit younger, want to see what it likes to be a U15 AAA player, well, you can check it out from kids from the U.S. and Alberta and BC and a few other places. Should be loads of fun. We got a lot of texts flying in, 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. So, guys, they got Klingberg, didn't have to give up any assets. Does this mean Jonathan Taves is next? I know. Edmonton historically has had some decent success with what we deem reclamation projects, right? You go way back to Craig McTavish. Look how well that turned out. Evander Kane, obviously the first year was, the first 2 years was unreal. Right now has had some injuries, so we'll see what happens when he comes back. Corey Perry's come here, and for what you paid him, Corey Perry's been fine. I don't think you've had many issues with him. So we'll see on Klingberg. My understanding is Klingberg is going to skate. Now, the Oilers will have the day off on Sunday, but I think Klingberg is going to skate on Sunday. And then we'll see. Obviously, I think he'll skate Sunday, and then the first chance he'll have to practice with the team will be on Monday. And then, of course, the Oilers play the Capitals on Tuesday. Now, is that enough time? I don't know how much he's been skating. Like I said, I would like to think he's been skating enough to know. Now, I was also doing some math. Let's say the Oilers waited another 3 weeks to sign him, right? And so you still do the signing bonus of $350. But by that point, the $350 and the cap, whatever, instead of being 52.6%, because that's what this season's being played, if it's then 60%, right? So now it's going to be more. So I don't know if you wait 2 weeks, if you really save that much money, to be honest, doing the math in my head. So we'll see. Zach Kassian, another guy, right? Forgot about him. Thank you, Eric. That's right. So they've had, and hey, Kassian came in. People hated him when he was in Vancouver. Remember, because he slashed Gagne in the face and then kind of chirped him on the bench. Oilers fans couldn't stand him. And then, of course, he became the Wolverine, and he has the chops in the playoffs. He scores a huge goal. Him and a fan are having their special moment behind the net. And, Kassian then goes after the turtle, and Oilers fans are in love with him even more. Some people didn't love the contract. I always said I never blame the player. Never blame the player for the contract. Well, none of us would say no to it at all. So, hey, guys, this has a potential to be a big upgrade over Brown and Stetcher. And if it isn't, you just move on and try someone else. That comes from Edmonton Rob, and I think that's a fair assessment. that it's got the potential, but like there is potential is one word, as we can say in draft picks and everything else. Potential is one thing. Actuality is very different. And we'll see if, like how's John Klingberg's mobility going to be? Like, I honestly, I've had a lot of texts from people, around former players say, how mobile is he going to be? I don't know. I haven't seen him. But it's a good question, man. Like, trust me, Oilers fans, you're not the only ones curious. Heck, you got alumni, you got other people wondering how's he going to be? Because the one thing Klingberg did very well, he could skate. Hey, he was very mobile. He was one of the. You remember Klingberg walking the line? Oh, was exceptional. Now I know. Hey, is he going to take Bouchard's spot on the power play? No. Why would he? Like, I don't think the Oilers' power play has to change anything. Like, their power play is what, 30-some% here in the last 6 weeks? I ain't changing the power play. No chance. Could he maybe get some time on the second unit? Sure. Right? Because it's 30 seconds that Matthias Ekholm can rest. I could see that. Right? Matthias Ekholm's on your number one penalty kill unit. Does he need to be on those 30 seconds of your second power play? Probably not. And especially if Klingberg and Nurse are going to be partners 5-on-5, if they then take the last 30 seconds of the penalty kill, well, they're already out there together. So I could see there being some validity. Plus, it's a righty-lefty compared to having two lefties on your second unit. So I could see, but I don't. I don't. You're not going to see him on the top unit. No chance. And I don't. I don't know, to be honest, because people are wondering, what if you send Klingberg down? Do you get the 1.1 relief? Does any of it count against the cap? I have to get confirmation. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I would say if he goes to the minors, my understanding would be that because he's a 1.74 cap hit, and if the Oilers are still in LTIR, like up at the main club, then you're, what is it, 1.15 now? So he'd be about $600K counts against cap, just not all of his salary. So yeah, that's my understanding on what would happen. Hey boys, any chance you could put him on LTIR? Yeah, I guess you could, right? Just puts you more into LTIR. That'd be a question for Hart at Puckpedia, because he was a 1.74 cap hit when you're in LTIR and he's active. But what if you put him on LTIR? Does he only count as 824? Now that's a question. I don't know the answer. Maybe I'll send him a question. Do we have LT now? Okay, yeah, I guess we're switching on the fly. Craig's on around. So let's get to LT, like an upgrade. LT, what's your thoughts on Klingberg?
Well, we don't know what we don't know. We know that the last time he was healthy, he was a very productive player, and it's been a while, and he's been away for, like last year he played briefly for Toronto, but I like it because there's enough track. I like the signing because there's enough track. I'm not saying he's going to be anything. I'm saying they have enough track in the season before the deadline to see what he is. There was enough interest from other NHL teams that got me curious. I think there was 7. And I remember when he was playing, when he was very good, and that's a player worth pursuing. I suspect he'll have a lot of rust he's got to knock off, and he's 32, but he's not 40. And, for those who don't remember him, he's mobile, can move the puck. There's a lot to like about him as a possible Darnell Nurse partner. Before we get to that, let's see what he is right now. And that, I think, is, I think everybody's kind of rushing to conclusions. I've seen a few people online who are mad about the price tag. Let's just see what he is, because there is a world in which this price is a ridiculous bargain. Potentially, right?
Are you concerned, though, with the last 4 years of his career? He was a pretty ugly dash player when I'm talking plus minus, and even at 5-on-5.
Yeah, well, I mean, a couple of those years he was on some pretty bad teams, and we don't know how healthy he was in Toronto. He didn't play a lot, and then he didn't play at all. So I guess you could be concerned about it, but when you look at the balance of his career, when you look at when he was playing really, really well, and I think that's I think it's an open question about we could talk about how many of the years that he played a fair amount and might have been hurt then too. When he's playing well, when he's healthy, he was a substantial player, and that was quite a bit in Dallas, and then Dallas had some struggles. We'll see. One thing I know about this coach is if he doesn't play a structured game, he's not going to play. And the Oilers,
that's true.
They're going from a point of. I'm guessing here, Jason, but I'm guessing that Spector would be the odd man out. Well,
Al, like there ain't going to be Bouchard and ain't going to be Emerson. I can tell you that.
Right. So if we're saying, Spector, you're the number 7, and Emerson comes in and he is not good, then that's a very brief thing. And I think this is a roll of the dice at the low end. But what he brings, like as a player, when he's what we remember, you can see why there's appeal. This is a guy that it would not be available. And I said it today on the lowdown. I mean, the alternative might be trading for Ristolainen, and then you're giving up assets. You're getting a guy with a 3-year contract this year and 2 more years after this at big money. Even if Philadelphia swallows some, I'd much rather do this.
Yeah, Ristolainen, though, is definitely a better defenseman for sure. But he also doesn't have the puck moving and offensive skills as Klingberg. And so I know we've had a lot of people take, well, the Oilers don't need another defender. I would have liked more of a defensive guy. And I think there's some validity to that. I can totally understand it. I think the Klingberg success, a lot of it will be, like right now, Darnell Nurse, whether you play Spector with him, whether you play Brown with him, whether you play Kulak with him, they've had success. And so, in theory, you're like, hey, if Klingberg can play well and he moves the puck better than those 3, and if his skating is the same as it was prior, well, then he skates better than those. Well, maybe not better than Kulak, but he definitely skates better than Brown and Spector. That you look and say, hey, in theory, you could have more success because Al. It's pretty obvious to me when I look at the minutes. Nurse has played more of his minutes with the Draisaitl line, and so if Klingberg's playing with Nurse, he's going to play with that line. And you know what? Maybe that line that's played that good, that's my only concern. That line's played really well. Do I want to put a guy who's a little leaky defensively? Does it suddenly impact them negatively? We won't know, but that's my concern.
Yeah, all of that is fair. I think what you're looking for, if you're Stan Bowman, is you're looking for a guy who can come in and play like he can skate well, he can move the puck well, he can pass the puck well. Knoblauch doesn't like to play defense. He likes to move the puck and be in the zone very briefly. And I think if you look at the style that he plays or wants the Oilers to play, then Klingberg is a match. He's a style match for it. Now, we don't know if he can play. Like, we just don't. But if he can, then I think that it's probably a fairly easy trip to how they're going to use him. And it's going to be, chase back, get the puck, offer support. Nurse gets you the puck and it's out. And I say Nurse, I mean, I have no idea. I don't even know whether he's, a guy who you could, second power play, Jason. I mean, I think we're just too far away from it. We just don't know what he still has, right? But he's 32. He's not 40.
No, yeah, exactly. And, he could be. I could see the theory of him being on your second unit with Nurse, and then so it saves Zach Coleman extra 30 seconds here or there, because he's your number 1 penalty kill unit, plays a lot of minutes 5-on-5. Klingberg, if he's going to play regular, he's going to play with Nurse 5-on-5 most likely anyway. So you know what, you can have that pair together right away. Pretty simple. Then you go to Kulak Emerson, or maybe you'd go to Ekholm Kulak right after. Who knows? But they'll have some options. For sure on what they want to do. Let's get to the game last night, Al. And we had a lot of people text in who were very honest that they shut the game off when McKinnon made it 3-0. And some of them didn't turn it back on. Others did. When they went down 3-0, you're thinking, all right, it's probably going to be a long night here.
Oh, for sure. And you like it was what they call a schedule loss. It was back to back. They flew a long way. They would have been, they should have been exhausted, but they for me, this is a game that doesn't play out this way even a year ago, and certainly not 2 years ago or 5 years ago. This team, I think, has uniquely taken the Game 7 loss, the bitter pill that was, and they've galvanized. They've strengthened themselves. There's a certain steely spirit to this team that is new to me. I've watched them for a long time, and maybe they had it many years ago under Mac T when they were maybe outmanned or something like that, or in the olden days. But this team in the McDavid era, I just think that down that much on the road, there was a sense of resignation on the other teams. And this team, it's almost like they're like, oh, okay, well, we got to get a bigger bucket because this is going to take longer. And I had Lansky on today, and he said even in the LA game that they lost, or no, the Pittsburgh game that they lost, he didn't feel like they lost the game. They just ran out of time. And maybe this doesn't last the rest of the year and into the playoffs, but right now the Oilers are, the kids call it a wagon, but they're never out of any game.
Yeah, no, they're not right now. And you know what? The last few games here, McDavid's back to shooting the puck out, and that becomes a scary proposition for opposition.
Yeah, Hyman had, I think Natural Stat Trick had him like with 12 high danger chances. He was absolutely running around like nobody could do anything. And that top, I'll tell you, Jason, I wrote about this with The Athletic today. If they could ever get a Nugent-Hopkins line with Puck Colson and Arvidsson that could play the second line minutes, and right now they average, I think it's like 6 minutes a night, or maybe less, with Draisaitl, McDavid, and Hyman. And I understand when people get mad, they don't want to see it. But that line is so dominant, it's like a power play on 5-on-5. And
yeah,
we always have known that Draisaitl and McDavid are they're just impossible to defend. But right now they're at peak whatever they are. They're just beyond belief. And I don't know what they're going to do at the deadline, but man, I'm telling you, the more minutes they can get those guys out at 5-on-5, it just tilts the ice. It's like you have, if they play 7 minutes a night together, it's like a 7-minute power play at 5-on-5.
Well, McDavid, Draisaitl, Bouchard, and Ekholm. I didn't include Hyman in this because I was comparing it to the top four, McKinnon, Rantanen, Makar, and Taves. Those guys have played 263 minutes together in Colorado prior to last night. They were 11 goals for, 11 goals against. The Oilers' top four of McDavid, Draisaitl, Bouchard, and Ekholm had only played 163 minutes, and they were 16-5. So you're right. And so I've never understood this fascination with people to get upset because the coach decides not every game's the same, not every week is the same, and I might play McDavid and Draisaitl together for 3 games in a row, then I might not play them together for a month. Who cares? Yeah. You can do both at different times, and it works. There is zero, wow, they can't win in the playoffs. What are you talking about? They just went to Game 7 doing the exact same thing.
It's true. And the one thing that I always wonder about, if you're an Oilers forward or anybody who's ever going to play with Connor McDavid, watch what Leon Draisaitl does. Draisaitl with McDavid, Draisaitl carries the puck everywhere. He does everything when he's on a line with himself. But he will feed the puck to McDavid and go. It is just automatic. It's like give and go, gone. And it's the oldest play in the books in hockey. But Draisaitl knows that if give the puck to McDavid because he's the fastest, man on earth, and he'll get it back and get back in a good spot. And he might have to use his size down low to get it into a better position once he gets the puck back. But those two think the game at a very high level, and when they play together, it's clear that they have chemistry. And Hyman is a perfect third winger or third forward on that line.
Yeah, no, come on, he's a pretty elite guy for sure. Al, under the category of not surprised, the Jays, God, they were in it again, Al. Like they're the best team in Major Leagues of Baseball of being in it when they're never really in it. As Roki Sasaki has signed with the LA Dodgers. Shocking.
If I were the Jays, I would make it an absolute like condition of negotiation to say we don't want to be in it, because I think it makes them look like
Totally.
the bridesmaid. I mean, you got to win one of these damn things, and they're hanging by a thread. Vladdy says he's not going to negotiate once spring training starts. Well, spring training is like just around the corner. They've already gotten the deal done, so he right now he never has to talk to another Toronto Blue Jays executive about a contract again. He's got his one-year deal. He can go right to free agency. They're going to have to trade him. This would have been a great move for them. I don't know where they go now. And they traded for a gigantic amount of money that they could use to sign international players. I think that the idea of going for Sasaki, and now I think they've just got to go find all the players that the Dodgers said goodbye to and won't sign, and sign every one of them, and that's for the future. That's like 5 years from now, probably. This is not a good offseason again for the Jays, and it might cost them both Bichette and Guerrero, and it'll certainly cost at least some managers their job.
LT, good luck with your Eagles this weekend. Stay stress-free.
I'm telling you, I'm just holding on, baby. If you've ever been in a nice easy chair and you've been white knuckling it, that's what I'll be doing. I'll be holding on to their guardrails and hoping, because if they get through this weekend, then I think that you have to say it's been a highly successful year for Philadelphia, and man, they could be on the way to the Super Bowl not long from now.
All right, Al, have a good weekend. We'll chat with you on Monday.
All right, be good, guys. Bye-bye.
There you go. That's Alan Mitchell, host of The Lowdown, noon to 2 on Sports 1440. Quick break. We'll get to 5 questions. We got Spec and Button coming up in a busy final hour. The Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need: Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
You don't know what awaits you on the road to come, but with the 2025 XC90 from Volvo of Edmonton, you'll have the versatility to take on whatever life throws at you. The new XC90, a luxurious SUV with seating for up to 7, boasts newly upgraded body and wheel design. It's the perfect choice to drive into the coming year. And right now, you'll save $4,500 and lease from 1.49% on all in-stock 2025 XC90s. Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest.
Planning for your future. Vision Credit Union makes it simple with 2 RRSP options to fit your goals. Choose a secure term deposit RRSP with guaranteed returns, or a mutual fund RRSP offering higher growth potential with exciting opportunities. With an RRSP, you'll save on your 2024 taxes, grow your investments tax-free, and get closer to your dreams, whether it's retirement or your first home. Don't wait. The deadline to qualify for 2024 tax deductions is March 3rd. Learn more at visioncu.ca.
He's bringing the spirit and sound of the East Coast to the prairies. River Cree Resort and Casino proudly presents Alan Doyle. Live in the venue January 17th. Tickets at rivercreeresort.com.
River Cree Resort and Casino. Excitement. Bet on it.
Get ready to rock with ZZ Top. River Cree Resort and Casino proudly presents ZZ Top live in the venue June 6, 2025. Tickets at rivercreeresort.com.
River Cree Resort and Casino. Excitement. Bet on it.
Stressed over holiday bills? Breathe easy, because with Cross Mitsubishi, you're secure and stress-free for up to 6 months. That's right, you'll make no payments for up to 6 months. Plus, Mitsubishi's 10-year, 160,000-kilometer limited warranty is the best in the industry. So when you're sitting behind the wheel, Cross Mitsubishi is standing behind you. Cross Mitsubishi. Drive your ambition. See Cross Mitsubishi in store for details. 9605 34th Ave and at crossmitsubishi.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Culligan. For all your residential water needs, your local water treatment company, more than just big bottles, Culligan.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Awesome Friday rolls through. Hope you're having an awesome day. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Declan Kruger here live with me at the John Reed 46th Annual John Reed Memorial Tournament. Some of the best U15 AAA players in the local area, of course, across the province, other parts of Canada, and even a few teams from the USA are here. And St. Albert, the host team, were victorious earlier today 4-2. So they are now into the quarterfinals, which get going early tomorrow morning. So the boys will be in the sheets early tonight. Nobody, no late nights out whatsoever. Let's get to 5 questions brought to you by The Brick. And starting today until Monday, it is the store-wide inventory clear out. In-stock items ready to go. You can get up to a 70% off the original price and take 4 years to pay with no interest at The Brick and thebrick.com.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, Jason, was last night's win over the Colorado Avalanche the Oilers' best of the season so far?
I'm going to say it was their gutsiest performance. They've had better games start to finish where, they were. Last night was good, but obviously, you gave up. They're down 3-0. I'm not going to say it's their best win, but I'm going to say it was their most impressive gutty performance.
Yeah, that was kind of the word I was going with, impressive. And, we've talked about it a lot ad nauseum. The down 3-0, the travel, all those factors in a good team. And then, Stuart Skinner letting in those 3 goals, but then shutting the door after the fact. I'm going to say it was. Obviously, they've had better games, but this one, I think this was a real tone setter for them. So I'm going to say it was their best win of the season. Question number 2, we talked about it a little bit already. Where do you think the ideal spot would be for a healthy John Klingberg on this Oilers blue line?
It's either with Darnell Nurse or he's not in the lineup. He's not playing in your first pair. And I don't think they want to. All of a sudden, Ty Emberson, he's a young player. He's played very well as your top penalty kill unit and third pair minutes. I don't think I want to suddenly ask more from Emberson, right? Put players in a position to succeed. I think they've done that with Emberson. So I would say it's with Nurse or they'll look for someone else. That's honest. I think this is a 6-week audition for Klingberg to see if he can be the guy to play there.
And just for a fun question, obviously, he's worn number 3 everywhere. Can't wear 3 in Edmonton with Al Hamilton. What number should he wear?
Well, you can't wear 33 because Arvidsson has that. What did he wear in Toronto? Because I don't think he wore 3 there either. So I am looking up.
Looks like it was 3.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, because you know what? They have jerseys that are honored. They're not always retired.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. Well, there you go. Then honestly, dude, I don't know what he's gonna wear. I have no he's played War 3 in Minnesota. I have no idea. Can't wear 2, can't wear 5. I guess he could wear Cody Ceci. Or sorry, he could wear 5. He can't wear 2, he can't wear 4 is what I meant, not 5. I have no idea. Maybe like a 13. No, Janmark's 13. So I have no idea.
I'll say some weird one. 51, Andrei Kovalenko or something. Just a totally random one. Question number 3 for you. Oilers taking on the Canucks tomorrow. Will the Canucks make the playoffs? And if so, will Pettersson and Miller both or either be on the roster?
There's a lot of time left. Like Vancouver's roster is good enough to be better than Calgary, St. Louis. So I will say yes to that. Oh God. It's Vancouver. So I'm going to say no to both of them being on the roster because I think the Canucks are still somewhat of a chaotic organization.
Yeah, I have a hard time thinking they won't make the playoffs just with how good they were. And like flashback to after Game 7 Oilers-Canucks series, I thought, my God, this Canucks team is feisty. They're going to be a tough team for years going forward. And they still probably will be, but I did not foresee this coming. No sympathy, maybe a little empathy. I'm with you, though. I think one of those guys will be gone, try to get rid of some of the drama. And to me, there's no way they don't make the playoffs. I think they're just too good of a team. Question number 4 for you. Who will be meeting in the AFC and NFC championship games next weekend?
Chiefs, Ravens, Lions, Eagles. So I guess one upset, technically by seed.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was kind of what I'm leaning towards as well. I think there's a coin toss there. Bills, Ravens. I think that one could go either way. I think Eagles, Lions get it done. I'd love to see the Texans do it, but not yet. I think the Chiefs have at least one more playoff game left on the schedule, and they'll host the Bills or the Ravens when it happens. Final question for you today is Jim Carrey's 63rd birthday. Of all his classics, do you have a favorite?
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I want to give Jim Carrey a shout out for 1994 because he had one heck of a run with Dumb and Dumber and then The Mask and Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. The Mask would top the list for me.
Really?
I don't know why. I always watch it. Wow. I watched it like last month while doing late night feedings, and I was like, yeah, this kind of holds up. Young Cameron Diaz in it as well, kind of some comedy in there. So the other one's probably more commercially popular, but I enjoyed The Mask.
Wow. Dumb and Dumber was so funny. So I'm gonna go Dumb and Dumber, but I'm gonna give him a nod for the Truman Show. I quite like that.
I'd love to ask any of our younger listeners their thoughts on Dumb and Dumber. Because I feel like for a lot of us it is that classic, but talking to some of the younger people in the studio, I don't know if they look at it the same way you and I might.
But did they watch it?
Yeah.
Well, they just have bad taste. What else could it be? I don't know. No, but hey, some of those comedies, it depends at the time of your life when you watch it. And like Dumb and Dumber, when it came out, it was kind of the lead in that type of comedy. And then there was a lot of them for a while, right? Like kind of, dumb comedy. And I just thought there were so many funny parts about that movie that were hilarious. And I love the ending on the bus.
Yeah.
Because originally they had it, the writers wanted them to get on the bus. And Jim's like, no, we can't get on the bus. So it actually was funnier that they didn't get on the bus.
Kind of the perfect ending because you think, okay, they're finally going to get this right. And then they don't. Also, Troy Stetcher's 51. So my apologies. Bad pick for me for number for the new guy.
I could, you know what? I'm going to say 63.
63.
That's my guess. Because it can't be 53. Can't be 33. I'll say 63 for John Klingberg. Can't be 93. So
we got 15 open right now.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like he's always been a 3.
It's a weird one, but
I think he's going to want a 3 in his number. So, yeah, we'll see. Who's the last order to wear 63? I have to look that up.
Ennis?
Oh, might be. Yeah, probably. I think somebody wore it. Yeah, I could probably Ennis. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. Spec will join us. We got a lot of people wondering, Klingberg's not playing tomorrow. I can tell you that 100%. I don't even know if he'll be ready to play yet by Tuesday, but he's definitely not playing tomorrow against the Vancouver Canucks. How about the Oilers? Oilers so far in 2025 are 8-1 to start the new year. Only loss was in Pittsburgh, where they just really in the Pittsburgh game they had a bad 10 minutes. Down 3-0. After that, they outscored him 3-2. Outshot him at tons of chances. Couldn't bury it. Like, this has been a really good start to the calendar year for the Edmonton Oilers. And last night, man, that's an exclamation point win. Exclamation point. I said it yesterday, and I'll say it again. You win that game. I think that, to me, is the guttiest win of the season. And especially, like, I never would have thought, if you would have asked me, Gregor, paint a scenario where the Oilers can win the game. I'm like, you know what? Stuart Skinner plays very well, and, they win 3-2. I would have never have guessed that they win the game trailing 3-0 on a second half of a back-to-back, third game in 4 nights on an extensive road trip. No chance. So it's a huge win for them. Impressive win for sure. Let's get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Ewell. Ready to go in the power play with your partners in power, ewel.ca for all your electrical needs. It's available 24/7, and they ship all across Alberta.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
The Edmonton Oilers making a move today, signing John Klingberg to a one-year contract, $1 million prorated per TSN insider Jason Gregor. He was a free agent, has not played in the NHL since November 11th, 2023. On the ice tonight, you got the Penguins and the Sabres and the Golden Knights Canes. Both those teams getting going at 5 o'clock. The Oilers in action. They get on the Canucks tomorrow at 8 o'clock. In the association, the Bucks hosting the Raptors from Milwaukee. Tip off on that one set for 6 o'clock. Elsewhere, Heat host the Nuggets. Timberwolves taking on the Knicks, Hornets, and Bulls. And the Spurs host the Grizzlies. The Edmonton Oil Kings in Regina taking on the Pats. That one gets going in just over an hour. In the AJ, Fort Mac and Whitecourt, Camrose host Bonneville. Drayton Valley taking on Calgary. And the Olds will host Drumheller. All those games start 7 o'clock. In the PWHL, Montreal hosting Minnesota. That's a 5 o'clock start. And the Golden Bears in action night hockey. We're talking here up against Regina tonight and tomorrow down at the Drake, 7 o'clock. Puck drop in both those games. The Pandas in Regina tonight at 6 p.m. at the Saddle Center. You've got Bears and Pandas basketball. Pandas up against UBC at 6. Then at 8 o'clock, the Bears also taking on UBC. McEwen hockey down in Calgary taking on Mount Royal. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet and TSN's Craig Button. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Bringing every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa Machinery Group service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Noodle, noodle, nood, noodle, nood, noodle, nood, oodle, noodle, nood. Noodle, noodle, nood, 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 oodle, noodle, nood, oodle, nood, oodle, noodle, noodle, nood, noodle, nood, noodle, nood, oodle, noodle, nood. Noodle, noodle, nood, 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 oodle, noodle, nood.
Promo down to Oodle Noodle tonight because dine-in is open.
It's a new year, and the Brick is clearing out their old inventory. Friday to Monday, they're blowing out furniture for up to 70% off the original price, with in-stock items ready to go and additional unadvertised discounts. Check out your nearest Brick location to find mattresses starting at $149, fabric beds starting at $199, gaming chairs starting at $119, and home decor and pillows from just $15, with more deals in every department. Plus, take 4 years to pay with no interest. Financing OAC. Exclusions apply. The Brick, saving you more.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Some might like to play hide and seek or even that Where's Waldo game. But out of sight, out of mind is never something GS Construction ever says. Yes, what's underground might be out of sight for everyone, but it's never out of mind for GS Construction because it's not fun and games ensuring Edmonton's underground infrastructure works for you. We take our job very seriously. And even though we may look like we're pretending to be groundhogs, we're really keeping things running smoothly. To find out more, including new job opportunities, visit gsconstruction.ca.
Just when the weather is raising your nosy, someone's got a new menu that's tasty and cozy. What? It's Booster Juice. Now you can warm up and chow down with a savory selection of grilled fresh favorites. Breakfast wraps, chicken wraps, grilled cheese, steak and chicken paninis, topped with melty cheese, creamy pesto, spicy chipotle, grilled fresh options made in-house, warm and delicious. Made daily with the finest ingredients. Cozy comfort food at Booster Juice. Download the Booster Rewards app today.
Diablo Boots in Canada West, the two best names in work, biker, and western boots. Diablo has been selling quality Canadian boots for over 60 years, from size 6E to 15EE. Why buy boots made in China like Ariat, Redwing, and Dakota, when Diablo Boots has the best quality for less? Made in Winnipeg. Plus, all of Diablo Boots have replaceable soles and heels for longer life. So save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save On Foods.
Imagine a family get-together where the smiles are as genuine as the conversations. That's the feeling you get at Nisku Ford, a family-owned dealership where finding a new Ford feels just like catching up with old friends. Swing by during the 2024 model clearout and take advantage of January rebates of up to $9,000 or access finance rates as low as 0%. The coffee's on, so drive into Nisku Ford or visit niskuford.ca today. Above expectations.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Positive Friday rolling through. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Declan Kruger with you on a nice Friday. We're here live at the arena. How fun is that for the John Reed 46th annual tournament for some of the best AAA U15 players. I always want to say Bantam, but they've changed the name. So it's U15. For the older people, Bantam. For the youngers, it's U15. So there you go. And it's going on tomorrow and Sunday. Tons of scouts here, as all these kids, of course, in the draft year. So it's a big tournament, loads of fun, great competition. It is the Gregor Show, always presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get in the game tonight. $55 million up for grabs in Lotto Max. Get your tickets at PlayAlberta.ca. And the Oilers rolled into Vancouver today. They stayed over in Colorado last night. Today was a travel day. And it was also a day where they signed John Klingberg. If you're just joining us, Klingberg signs a one-year deal. It's a prorated base salary of $1 million, which means in actual cash, it's about $474,000. And then he gets a $350,000 bonus. So the cash value is going to be $824K. But then it gets a little confusing because of it's a mid-season signing bonus, not a performance bonus, signing bonus. And so that's actually charged in reverse. So prorated, so it's like doubled. So it's like $704,000 plus the $1 million prorated. So that's what his cap hit of $1.74 million is. If the Oilers are in LTIR at any point, that's what he counts. But if they're not in LTIR, then he only counts as the cash value of $824. It's kind of confusing, but that's as easy as we can say it. So the Oilers currently are in LTIR, so he's a 1.74 cap. If they ever get out of LTIR, which means they'd have to send a few players down, which they could do, right? If they send a forward and a defenseman down, they could do it. Yeah. Or no, they'd have to send 2 forwards and a defenseman down. Because right now they got 2 extra defensemen and 2 extra forwards. So when they have a 21-man roster, the Oilers are under LTIR, so they probably won't be. So basically, he's going to be a 1.74 cap hit for this season. And people have asked if by chance something that doesn't go and they got to send him the minors, then it's his 1.74 minus, which is what, 1.15. So that's basically, that's what he would be, partial of his salary would count against the cap. So there you have it. And if he is in LTIR, then he's a full 1.7. Okay, there you go. Now let's get to the spec report brought to you by GS Construction. Now we are trying to calculate all those numbers. That's what they do in calculating to ensure that the underground infrastructure is bang on. All the little details, every little nook and cranny to ensure that the roadways or just in your neighborhood running water, running smoothly from GS Construction. As Mark Spector joins us. And Spec, we talked about Klingberg, and both of us had said, hey, if you get him on a 1-year deal, that I thought $1 million. Okay, now I obviously didn't think of the signing bonus factor and everything else like that, so it's a little bit higher at 1.7 if they're in LTIR and 824 if they're not. What do you think the chances are Klingberg ends up being a positive sign?
That's a fair and excellent question. I will fill you in a little bit on what you were just asking about when he's going to play. He skated on his own apparently for months. He spent the last month skating with the junior team, and he's in transit or maybe has arrived in Edmonton. He's not even going to Vancouver. He's coming to Edmonton. He's going to get it together here, and he'll meet the team, I guess, on Monday. And what does that mean? He's ready to play in the NHL. Stan Bowman told me, let's get him a practice or two with us, and then we'll figure that out. But it does not sound like he's playing on. Who's the next game here? Is it Tuesday night against Washington?
Yeah, I thought that might be a bit early. Yeah, so I could see him though. Spec, you know what? They play the Canucks again next Thursday, so I could see him then. Right, he would have 2 practices and a morning skate, and if he's been skating for a month, right? Like the only way to get into game shape eventually is getting to a game.
Oh, for sure. And it doesn't sound, absolutely. And he's got guys he's comfortable with. I could even see them, maybe to help him break in a little easier, to play him with Ekholm a little bit or some shifts. Because
I don't see that. Yeah.
I'm not saying long term. I'm saying very short term. But either way, at least they've got another right shot D in here. I mean, I guess you just walk in and play him with Nurse, whatever. He's going to have to figure that out eventually. I have a feeling if he doesn't jive with Nurse, I'm not sure any part of this plan works anymore, does it?
No, I think this is an audition to see if Klingberg can be a very low-cost acquisition to play with Darnell Nurse. Everybody knows that's what they're looking for, right? Now, Brett Kulak can do it if need be, but Klingberg, I don't think they're going to play him on the left side in your third pair. That would be a little odd to me. So, although I guess I'd have to look back as, has he played left side in his career? Maybe some guys can do it and it's no problem. So I guess that's an option to do. He played less minutes and, move the puck from there. So I guess that's a scenario, but I think we're going to sign this guy. It cost him no assets to do. And we feel he can come back. You said he's been skating for 2 months. And now skating with the junior team is infinitely different as the wear and tear that you have to go through in physical contact and playing with men every second night in the NHL. It's totally different, but we won't know until he gets back in here. So when he was healthy in his career, Spec, he's a mobile defenseman who can move the puck, who has some limitations defensively.
Yeah, for sure. And Stan Bowman and the Oilers are counting on those defensive limitations being assuaged by the fact that he's healthy, right? He had the same hip resurfacing thing that Patrick Kane had. It went great for Patrick Kane. By all accounts, it went great for Jesse Puljujarvi. I don't think we can say that it furthered his career and made him a way better player, but he did say that he felt much better and he's still skating great. So, the hip resurfacing thing has worked. I had a long chat. I've got a piece that should be up right away on Sportsnet. Let me let you in a little bit. Like Stan Bowman talked about what he's trying to do here, big picture, and the kind of defenseman he wants here, big picture. So he says, I'll read you a quote if you don't mind, Jay. He said, I want to accentuate the strength of our team, which is our forward group. So let's try to make the players we have even better. And in a 5-on-5 setting, when John's at his best, guys are going to really enjoy playing with him. Let's try to get the puck more. Let's have it more. Let's make plays with it. Let's not flip it out and chip it off the glass. So, we talk about there's guys like Joel Edmondson that you might bring in who are big, strong, tough defenders. But it's 2025. And with the strength of the Oilers, Stan Bowman's trying to find defensemen that make the smart play and get the puck in the hands of his most important players effectively and consistently. That's what he sees as the top end here. Let's see how it works out.
Yeah, I don't see Stetcher banging it off the glass a ton, right? But I get the premise of what Stan was saying there, right? Like, hey, you want to move the puck and not go off the boards anymore. It makes perfect sense. Now, the other thing is, though, when you don't have the puck, because even the best teams in the league are like 57%. So that means 43% of the time you don't have the puck, maybe even 47% of the time, because if you're a good 53. So how is Klingberg going to be able to defend? That's going to be the question. No doubt in my mind. He's a mobile guy, Spec. His first 5 years in the league, he was always a plus player. The last 4, he's been a dash player, and a few years, pretty ugly dash player.
Yeah. And so what we need to find out is, do we blame that defensive decline on his health, right? Does a healthy John Klingberg turn back into the good player? Or is that good player long gone and never going to return? I can't predict. I'm not going to predict. But, I said what you just said to me, I said to Stan, I said, okay, great. So he's going to get the puck and get it to your guys. But in the playoffs, there's going to be times when you're pinned in your own zone, right? We all know this. The other team gets the puck too when you're playing a good playoff team. So he said, it's actually interesting. I thought he said last night he listened to Bednar after the game. I haven't listened to Bednar, but Stan said he listened to what Bednar had to say. And Bednar said, according to Stan Bowman, and I'll trust him on this, I think we can. Bowman said that Bednar said, he said, it's one thing. What happened to us tonight is we got pinned in our zone by the McDavid line, like for 40 seconds. But then he said there was about, when you get the puck at the end of that 40 seconds, you've got like a second or maybe 2 seconds to make the right play and get the pressure off, right? To make a pass, to break the puck out, and not just off the glass, but to do something positive with it. He said, we didn't do that. They kept the puck in our zone, and that's why they eventually scored on us. So the point would be Bowman's point, and he's selling the player, don't get me wrong. The point is, sure, we all got to defend, but when that second comes that we got the puck and someone needs to make a play, I want a guy that knows what to do with it, and maybe we get the puck out of our zone and it doesn't go in our net. Yeah.
No, hey, the theory of it makes sense. Now it's the practicality. Can he play? And that's and I don't even know if the Oilers, in the text messages I exchanged, like they don't really know. They're hoping, right?
Well,
but
nobody knows.
No, nobody's really like. And does he feel good for 2 weeks? And then all of a sudden, the wear and tear of guys battling in the corners because you haven't done any of that. Now, it is hip resurfacing surgery. And as you've mentioned, some guys have gone. Patrick Kane had it, right? It worked out very well. So, we'll see, right? Patrick Kane came back and had 47 points in 50 games for Detroit, right? Now, but a totally different position. And no offense to Klingberg, he's not a Hall of Famer like Patrick Kane.
No, but more so, I think we're not looking as much at production. We're looking at the ability to return to form. Right? Yeah. Patrick Kane was suffering with those hips. He couldn't practice. His game declined. He got the surgery and he's back. He's an old Patrick Kane. He's not as good as 2012 Patrick Kane, but he's still healthy and nimble and quick and effective. So again, the hope of the Oilers is if we can get John Klingberg back to 2019 John Klingberg health-wise, maybe we got a shot at having a decent player here.
Yeah. No, that's very fair. Now, Spec, let's get to the game last night. I'm watching
what a tilt.
I'm watching that game, and you're like, okay, Avs score one. Oh, they score two. Skinner doesn't love that second goal. Then they score the third goal. And I know some people are freaking out about, Bouchard looked terrible on that play. I don't know. He stopped the original one, kicked it up, and it just, McKinnon makes it. Sometimes you make a really good play. McDavid's walked around a lot of defensemen. Doesn't mean they're terrible defensemen. Guy's a pretty good player. It's 3-0. You're like, oh, my goodness. Then, Draisaitl gets robbed, and you're like, ooh, geez. And then Arvidsson scores a softie. Let's be honest, that was a soft. If Stuart Skinner gives up that goal, Oilers fans are freaking out. But Arvidsson scores it, and that put him right back in the game. They go, and then they dominated the second period, I thought. And then they tie it up, and then ultimately win it with a lot of power plays that neither team, could get going. Like the Oilers' power play last night had chances, but didn't get any finish. And to me, the impressive was their fourth lines. That was a huge shift on the Kulak goal. A good screen by Corey Perry. But I thought that line, played pretty well. And that was a real team effort last night. It's not their best game stylistically, but that, without a doubt, is the most impressive win of the season when I consider travel. I consider the score. I consider the opponent. I consider second back-to-back, third and 4 nights. That's a huge win.
Don't forget altitude, which is a thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
Altitude is a thing. Yeah. It's a pretty good sign when the night before in Minnesota, it was that newly formed line of Nugent Hopkins between Podkolzin and Arvidsson that scored 2 goals, right? I think it was the third and fourth goal in that game. And then you get into Denver, and one of the big goals gets basically made by the fourth line and a bunch of pressure they put on. So that's like, it's always awesome when someone saves the day and they're not wearing 29 or 97 for the Oilers. That's the first thing. That means that's important when you're going somewhere with this team. Character win, come on there. this 8-game road trip, it started in the Pacific time zone. It's going to end in Pacific time zone. It goes through all 4 time zones, 8 games, 8 different cities. I think it's 15 days. And right now they're 6-1. Like, oh my goodness, 6-1 on this trip right now. The whole thing put together, it's incredibly good. They're going through the toughest part of their season, and they're playing 900 hockey. You can't ask for anything better than that.
No, not at all. And you look at that game last night, Spec, and Knoblauch knows when to load up his line. That's all. Like, for anybody out there who wants to question why he does it, you've been proven wrong time and time again. He has a pulse on his team. He knows when to load up his line. And that third period, that line won them the game. Now, hey, you know what? They got the Arvidsson goal, so that's great from the second line. The fourth line scored a goal. And then the McDavid guys, they obviously got the third and fourth goals and took over the game at that point when you needed it. But he has an uncanny ability to know when to load them up.
Yeah, and then by loading them up, you pass responsibility. You put Nugent Hopkins down as a centerman, and you go, okay, Nuge, we really need you tonight. And you hand out a fourth line shift and say, okay, boys, we got to get something done here. We can't leave it all on the first guy. So you're right. Like his winning percentage on in-game roster management is really high since he showed up in this city, right? I think we haven't talked on your show many times, Bud, about, oh boy, Knoblauch, got out coached or screwed that up or shouldn't have made that. I mean, we've almost never said that now in deep into the second season. So, hey, he's a good coach. A good coach has that feel. And I mean, last night he did it right off the start of the game, right? First shift they're playing together. So, you know what? What a game, though. I mean, what a game that was. When McKinnon and Rantanen were out, the puck was pinned in the Oilers zone, and then they came off, and McDavid went on, and the puck was pinned in Colorado zone. Like, I was watching the game all by myself, and I was like, man. I said to Kev this morning, I wish I had a few buddies over to enjoy that game with. Holy cow.
Yeah, well, it was a roller coaster of emotion for Oilers fans because they're down 3-0, and I'm sure they're, oh geez, okay, tough one, third game in 4 nights, back to back, yada yada yada, and then like Draisaitl's reaction on that save by Blackwood, it was, maybe, but then the Arvidsson, and you see even Arvidsson's reaction, like you could tell that game meant something. I thought Edmonton, they had a lot of jump, considering everything they've been through, and to me that this team knows how to win now. There's no one can question that. They know how to win. And Stuart Skinner, you know what? You let 3 goals in early, shut the door after that. That save on the partial breakaway and then the rebound save right afterwards.
Unbelievable save
from Skinner.
Great save. Rob McKinnon at the end. McKinnon's wrist shot is like it's the heaviest wrist shot I've seen.
How does he only have 17 goals? He only had 15 goals going into that game. I don't understand it.
Like when he gets speed, like on I think his first goal, right? When he gets speed and backs the defenseman in and gets a clean shot through, oh my goodness, it's just a rocket of a shot. And you know what the other thing was? We haven't seen that Bouchard goal enough for this year. Like that's a goal we saw a lot in the playoffs last year, right?
Yeah.
We haven't seen it much. And the coolest thing I think that I saw, and I didn't see it till this morning, I was watching the sports. The coolest thing I thought I saw was McDavid's behind the net, and he doesn't have a straight line to Bouchard's tape, right? He's got to sauce it over the back of the net, like over the low part of the back of the net. So he sauces it over the net right in front of him, and it lands right on Bouchard's tape, and he one-times it home. I thought, man, like who makes those plays? What a great pass. What a great game. Couldn't have enjoyed it more, Jay.
Yeah, and a great shot. Like I love Bouchard in his post-game interviews that, you know what, I've had some good chances. I took a little off, so I was more accurate. And so even when he takes a little, like you take only a few miles an hour off, and he like that's not a shot where you're just shooting, because sometimes you just rip it as hard as you can. He still rips it, but not as hard as he could, and he made it more accurate. It was a perfect shot.
Well, I mean, I've complimented him before on the fact that, like last season, I thought his shots arrived closer to the iron than most guys. He had a real knack for shooting the puck within a few inches of a crossbar or a post. He was the opposite of a crest shooter. This year, he's missing a lot of nets. Like he's lost his range a little bit for sure. But he'll get it back. He'll get it back. But perfectly stated, right? A little bit off, but he hit a top corner that Blackwood just had no chance for. Just a clutch goal, big win. Like, I don't know how they're going to do against Vancouver. It's going to go one of two ways. Either they're going to be dead tired and lose 3-0, or they're going to go in there and beat the Canucks by 7. I'm not sure which.
Well, the Canucks are going nowhere fast right now.
Oh, boy, are they in trouble.
Like, I think Edmonton, like, you sense when another team is struggling. Like, Vancouver spanked them last year in the regular season, right? So
all the way through.
I know this team. They don't. It's funny when you talk to those players, like, they remember all the key moments. And trust that 8-0 loss still probably pisses them off even this much later. So I would be surprised. I'm not saying they'll win, but I would be surprised if Edmonton had like an awful game tomorrow. So we'll see. Spec, have a good weekend. We will chat with you on Monday.
All right. Thanks, Jake.
There you go. That's a Spec Report brought to you by GS Construction. When we come back, Craig Button will join us. It's Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, coming to you live from the 46th Annual John Reed Memorial Tournament here in St. Albert at the Service Place right outside the Performance Arena.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is On the Rocks. Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m. Japa Machinery Group knows that XCMG may not roll off the tongue, but Japa's team will help keep your construction jobs rolling on time and on budget with heavy equipment sales and rentals. Visit japamachinery.com to find out more.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Day or night, tasting just so right. You can order Oodle Noodle at oodlenoodle.ca, delivering you the news almost right away. Remember, you can order Oodle Noodle at oodlenoodle.ca. So sit on your couch all day and order oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle Noodle.
Attention drivers, it's the midwinter tire clearance sale at Fountain Tire. Right now, you can save up to 20% off all in-stock winter tires. That's right, premium brands, unbeatable safety, and incredible savings. But don't wait, this sale ends March 8th. And once they're gone, they're gone. Contact your local Fountain Tire for complete details.
Elevate your game with the Basketball Show, hosted by me, Paul Sir. Tune in Saturday mornings at 10 for expert insights, exclusive interviews, and the latest hoops action. It happens right here on Sports 1440.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Papa John's would like to say thanks to their pizza-loving customers. Take 40% off any pizza this week. Use code word TY40 at papajohns.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Positive Friday continues on. How are you? Welcome back to the Jason Gregor Show, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X, as well as sports1440.ca. Wherever you are, we appreciate you listening, watching the show. A lot of fun. Let's get to our big guest of the day, brought to you by the Spruce Grove Saints. The Saints on the road, actually on the road, not at home until the 28th of January, but every home game they have a 50-50, and even if you're not in attendance, you can support the Saints by going to saints5050.com and get your tickets at saints5050.com. as we welcome in Craig Button from TSN, former NHL GM and scout, now ace analyst and scout for TSN. And Craig, the Edmonton Oilers went out and signed John Klingberg today, a 1-year prorated contract, $1 million. He's got a signing bonus. So the weird numbers of the salary cap, it's about a 1.7 cap hit when they're in LTI and $824K if they're not in LTIR. What's your expectations for John Klingberg?
Well, I don't think they should be very high. And, with just under 49 days left until the trade deadline, I think that it gives the Oilers an opportunity to evaluate what John Klingberg can do if he's healthy enough to help the team. And you sit here at this point in time and you continue to have discussions with other teams about other players. And I think that would be prudent for Stan Bowman to continue along that path. And I guess you use the term nothing ventured, nothing gained, but this is a player that hasn't really played very well for 3 years and has been injured. And I know he's had hip resurfacing and everything. I guess what the Oilers are hoping for is that they get some kind of semblance of play that John Klingberg showed during the Stanley Cup playoffs in 2020, where he was simply brilliant for the Dallas Stars before they lost in the final to the Tampa Bay Lightning. And, but that's how I see it. I think that like a number of the signings that the Oilers have made, we'll see. I mean, this is a team that is so well coached. And Chris Knoblauch's arguably right there with any of the best coaches in the National Hockey League. The team plays exceptionally well. And I guess when you have a coach like that, you factor in that you can have different players come in and thrive and get back to a level that can help you compete and be a little bit stronger as you contend for the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, there's obviously some risk that if he comes in here and is a complete dud, well, then if you got to send him to the minors, he still counts about $600K, give or take, against the cap. So it's not complete without risk, of course, but the potential for him to be well. And I guess worst case is he's your number 7. And you know what, then you go from there. So that's an option too, to see. So there's lots of ways to look at it. I just, in Toronto, he only played 14 games, Craig, and he played about 20 minutes a night. So they're trying to get him into it. In those 14 games, though, he didn't look great. But it's only 14 games, and he still hadn't had the surgery. So I don't even know if those 14 games we can accurately say how good or bad he was.
The 2 years before that, he looked terrible too, Jason.
Yeah.
He was awful.
Well, the last year in Dallas, fair. Yeah.
And the year in Anaheim, he had a pretty good run in Minnesota when they traded for him. He actually showed in a brief period of time there in the regular season. I'm going to say he played probably about a dozen games, and in the playoffs he looked fine. But over the course of the other 3 seasons, he wasn't very good. And listen, injury plays a part in it and everything. I like your thought process, Jason, that at the very least you got a depth defenseman, and everybody's looking to add depth. I think the Dallas Stars made a huge mistake last year not adding depth to their blue line, because when Hakanpää went down, they were down to 5 because Nils Lundqvist was not a player that Peter DeBoer had a lot of confidence in. So I do believe that when you add players, and obviously John has NHL experience, and you can never have enough depth come after the deadline. And I think at the very least that's a great point by you, and something that should be factored in here.
Yeah, the big one was, Craig, is how much were the hips part of his reduction in play? Because if you look at his first 6-7 years in the league, he was a really good player, and so that we'll never know. Right. And I guess we'll find out. And I don't even know if you can find out in 6 weeks. But if you're Edmonton, what you just said about Dallas, Craig, this Klingberg edition is one. Regardless of how well he plays, I think they need to make another edition, even if it's just a depth guy.
Well, I mean, it's all, like I said, you got 48 days and whatever. What are we at now? It's 7 o'clock.
Yeah, just under 7 weeks.
So 48 days and 20 hours roughly, right? So the deadline. You get to evaluate them. I mean, obviously they've done they've done the research on them. They've had them tested. Had the medical people look at him. Now you try to get him ramped up and see where he's at, and that's all good. There's, like I said, nothing ventured, nothing gained. But the playoffs are a grind. The playoffs are hard and they're heavy and everything. And so I think the Oilers, like I've talked about Chris Knoblauch, and I think he's a great coach. And I think the team reflects his coaching. He maximizes the abilities of players and the potential of the team. And, that's what you're hoping for with John Klingberg. But I'm in full agreement with you. I think they need more. I think they need more. And I'm not just saying, they know they're getting Evander Kane back. I think that's something you got to factor in. But, it's hard, it's heavy. And they went through it last year. And I think that if they want to put themselves in a better position, additions are necessary.
Oh God, yeah. No, the Oilers are playing great though. That win last night in Colorado, when you consider road trip 3-4 back-to-back altitude against a really good team, is the fourth best team in the league since November 1st. A goalie who hadn't given up more than 2 goals in a game since coming in, and they come back from a 3-0 deficit and win. That was massive.
Well, it was, but I'm not surprised by what the Edmonton Oilers do, because again, even you think about the game last week against the LA Kings, they just, it's going to be a low scoring game. We're going to play accordingly. They go into Minnesota, it's a back and forth, and then they take control of it in the third period and they emerge victorious. And then they go into Colorado. Yeah, we can look at whatever the factors are, but good teams find a way to work through their obstacles. And listen, it's never a recipe. Anybody will tell you falling behind 3-0 is not something you want to do. You celebrate the fact that you got back in and won the game. But at the same time, that's not a recipe. But what you see with the team, what you see with the Oilers is a real understanding of what is necessary. And so last night you fall behind 3-0, so you got to play a little bit differently. You got to find a way to get on the right side of it. They did. And good teams find a way. Sometimes it's not exactly how you drew it up. Joel Quenneville said this to me a number of years ago. He said, some nights, he goes, you've got a great game plan and you've spent all kinds of time doing up your game plan. He goes, 5 minutes into the game, you go, this game plan ain't going to work. And he goes, you got to recognize that as a coach and go, okay, what do I got to do to try to emerge out of here with 2 points? And I think that's what the Oilers did last night versus Colorado.
Greg Button joins the Sports 1440 Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. And Craig, another week goes by, and JT Miller had that 4-point game, and you thought, hey, maybe he was going to come out of it. Well, not the case. Pettersson's got goal. He's got 2 goals, both in the same game against the Sharks in his last 12 games. It's not getting any better in Vancouver. What would you do?
Well, I mean, we keep focusing in on JT Miller and Elias Pettersson, right? And I get, okay, everybody talks about the friction. What I would do, Jason, the first thing I would do is you 2 players, bottom line is we pay you a lot of money, grow up. If there's a problem, I'm not suggesting, I don't know if there's a problem. I'm not an insider. I don't try to be an insider. I don't go, oh, well, I heard this, I heard that. Listen, I don't know. But if there's an issue there, I'm calling them in and I'm going, listen, is there something that's unresolvable here? Because at the end of the day, we pay you a lot of money. Get your heads out of your butts and start playing. And I don't want to hear about it anymore. And I want to hear you guys come out and address it. Because I'm going to address it. And I'm going to say it's right on you 2 guys. I'm sick and tired of asking. Then the players, you don't think they're not sick and tired of having to answer to this? The second part of this is their team isn't good enough, Jason. They blew up their blue line. The blue line's not very good. I mean, the goaltending has been really good this year with Lankinen coming in and saving them in a lot of games. Elias Pettersson for 100 games has been subpar. We're paying you $11.6 million and we're celebrating your defensive play? Sorry, mister. It's not good enough. I think that Patrick Allvin has to put those players' feet to the fire.
Publicly or privately?
And improve the team.
Yeah.
Publicly and privately.
Yeah.
Publicly and privately.
Yeah. No, it's totally valid.
What are you worried about? Hurting their feelings? You're oh boy, here's your bottle and here's your sus. Give me a break. And then they got to make the team better. They didn't make the team better in the offseason.
Yeah, no, that's valid. What about young Nemec in New Jersey? What do you make of his comments?
Yeah, like a lot of young players, Jason, they get frustrated, right? One of the things we see the younger players, and come into the league, and they're good, and they're a little bit better prepared to come into the league, from a skill point of view and maybe a physical point of view. Where they're not prepared, and it's not going to change, is they're not emotionally prepared. They're not emotionally mature yet. They're still in stages of maturing. So they won everything yesterday, and listen, I just think that's part of youth. I don't think that's a negative, but you got to deal with it, and you got to just say, here's how we're going to deal with it. I'm watching I was doing the Montreal Canadiens broadcast on Tuesday in Utah and last night in Dallas, and I'm watching the younger players for Montreal, and Montreal's playing great. They're playing really well, but I'm watching the younger players, and I'm just going like, you know what? They're still going to make these mistakes. They're going to make these mistakes until they're 22, but they just don't get it yet. And it's not that they're not trying. It's not that they're not skilled. They don't get it. So now players think that they want to be there yesterday. Everybody's looking at their coming out of their entry-level contract. Oh my God, this is going to hurt me and everything. Bottom line is, it's great. It's wonderful. We got more youth in the game. We got younger players that are more ready to play. But the maturation process ain't changing, Jason. I've said it. I'll say it it's science. The natural laws of maturity. You can't speed them up, emotional, physical, and mental. And they're still young kids. And his comments were one of an immature young kid. Like, if I'm Tommy Fitzgerald, I'm going to Simon, I'm going, you're just proving my point that you're not ready.
Yeah. Yeah, which probably infuriating. Do you think, because to me, like, well, if nothing changes, like, I'm like, dude, do you think the GM's suddenly gonna be like, oh, well, okay, you know what? Like, here's the thing. How many number 2 overall picks play on a team in their first 3 years that makes the playoffs 2 out of the 3 years? That's what he's, don't compare yourself to other number 2s, because guess what? You can go play on a bad team all day long. Not hard. You're in the NHL, but you're on a bad team, and that's why you're in the NHL. And too many NHL teams do it. The bad ones, let's get these young guys in. And they don't really help your team. They just help your team lose more. So, the comparison of that is a little bit off base for me, because it's yes, he was a number 2 pick by New Jersey, but they're not a normal team for as far as a number 2 pick and how quick they turn things around. Like, look at how they revamped their blue line so quickly, and they traded out a lot of guys too.
They did. Listen, I'll tell you what we used to tell our players, working with our young players. We said that we don't care what other teams do. We don't care. You're in our organization. We're going to set you up for success. We're going to go along our path. We're going to work with you daily to help you be a better player and to get to where you want to get to. But we don't care about any other teams. So don't bring it up. Again, emotional immaturity. Yeah. Well, look at them. Oh, mommy, can I have a car? My buddy has a Mustang. Like, can you get me a car?
Yeah, that doesn't work very well. But have yourself a great weekend. Any team you're rooting for in the NFL this weekend?
Any team. I love watching Jaden Daniels. I think like what he's done with the Washington Commanders. And Jason, you and me talk lots, right? And we talk about, and you always hear me say it always starts at the top. Dan Snyder was a disaster. He's a disaster. It's so nice to see Washington doing so well, and certainly with respect to what Jaden Daniels is doing. And to me, I'm watching. I think the Buffalo Bills are in tough. Like, the Buffalo Bills who have had a great season. Like, they're not playing. It's not like last year, Jason. And I know you're a Chiefs fan. It's not like when the Miami Dolphins came up to the city and they were like, oh, we got to play in the cold. Oh boy, and they literally were brittle. The Philadelphia Eagles know how to play in the cold. I think that's a tough game for the Bills. And how can you not like watching the Lions? The Lions, the way they play with all the injuries they've had, boy, oh boy, it's a lot of fun. And listen, nobody's good. And I'm not one, Jason. I'm not underestimating the Kansas City Chiefs. I keep hearing everybody, oh, the Kansas City Chiefs, they're 15-2. Are you kidding me? Like, really?
No. They'll be Houston
at your peril.
But the Ravens into Buffalo is the game. Like, I think the Ravens are going to run all over them, and that's the one. And then the Ravens into KC, that could be. Hey, teams have won in KC. It's rare. Brady and Burrow's the only guys who've done it. But could Lamar do it? I wouldn't be shocked at all. It's a lot of the best teams are in it. That makes it fun. But I do actually think the Chiefs have the easiest game of the weekend. Maybe I'm wrong, but Houston doesn't do anything for me. So
I agree with you, Jason. I do it. But again, I don't know how you can bet against an Andy Reid coach team with Mahomes and everything they do. And that defense is so good for Kansas City. And like last time I looked, defense matters. But, people like, I don't know what people expect, but you're right. Lots of good teams left. But as good a season as Buffalo has had and Josh Allen has had, boy, you look at that and go, really? That's what we got to go on now? We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Ravens, Bills. Yeah, that's the game of the weekend. No question. I think everybody's looking forward to it. Bouch, thanks as always, buddy. Have yourself a great weekend.
Yeah, you too. Talk next week.
There you go. That's Craig Button from TS. And we'll finish up. We'll get all your thoughts on John Klingberg and more. It's the Jason Gregor Show, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Coming to you live from the 46th Annual John Reid Memorial Tournament here at Service Place in St. Albert.
McDonald's presents a hockey showdown like never before. McDavid versus Matthew. There can only be one winner, competing for all the glory and all the prize. The new menu features top shelf plays like the Smoky Quarter Poppy and the Big Mac David, so everybody scores, with even more delicious options like the Spicy Junior Chirpy. Now that calls for a silly Sunday. The Showdown menu, now available at McDonald's.
Kids getting free all season long. Can you believe it? Looking for an enjoyable and affordable family night out? The Spruce Grove Saints are excited to introduce their Kids Get In Free program. All kids 12 and under receive free admission for every Saints home game this season. Bring the entire family for action-packed junior hockey at a fraction of the cost. For more information, check out sgsaints.ca.
We believe that great projects start from the ground up. Well, to be accurate, great projects start from the underground up. We're GS Construction, and from pipes to drainage systems, we're always laying the groundwork for a better future for Edmonton. While the month of January may be slow for some, GS Construction is gearing up for a busy year ahead, preparing to build, repair, and replace tons of infrastructure to keep your systems running smoothly. To find out more, including new job opportunities, visit gsconstruction.ca.
It's a new year, and the Brick is clearing out their old inventory. Friday to Monday, they're blowing out furniture for up to 70% off the original price. With in-stock items ready to go and additional unadvertised discounts, check out your nearest Brick location to find mattresses starting at $149, fabric beds starting at $199, gaming chairs starting at $119, and home decor and pillows from just $15, with more deals in every department. Plus, take 4 years to pay with no interest. Financing OAC. Exclusions apply. The Brick. Saving you more.
Papa John's would like to recognize all the amazing meat-savoring, veggie-loving, barbecue chicken-craving, pepperoni-popping, crust-dipping customers with an extra large thank you. And to really show just how much they appreciate you, from January 13th to 19th, take 40% off any pizza at regular menu price. It's just their way of saying thanks for loving pizza as much as they do. Order online at papajohns.ca or through the Papa John's app and use promo code TY40. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some Papa John's.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the only place to call for heating your home. So when it's time to replace your old furnace, or for 24-hour repair with no overtime rates. Legacy even heats your shower with hot water tanks. And with no interest and no payments for 1 year, it could only be Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Get ready, Edmonton. The 2025 Quick Card Edmonton Minor Hockey Week is here. Celebrating 61 years of hockey excellence, January 10th to 19th. Witness over 10,000 players from more than 600 teams compete for the top spot in their division. It's one of the biggest minor hockey tournaments in the world. A heartfelt thank you to the volunteers, coaches, refs, and families who make this event possible. Come cheer for the future stars of hockey during Quick Card Edmonton Minor Hockey, proudly sponsored by Sports 1440.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Culligan. For all your residential water needs, your local water treatment company. More than just big bottles, Culligan.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
5:48. Welcome back, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Declan Kruger with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hope you're having a lovely Friday. Hey, you know what? There's always something happening on Sports 1440. Lots of NFL talk, of course. Big news today for the Oilers. It's one where it's big news because the potential is there. The risk, there is some, because worst case scenario is Klingberg comes in, he doesn't play very well. They got to send him to the minors, and he eats up $600K of cap space. Like, that's the worst case scenario. And to me, all right, so you lose $600K in cap space for a 6-week experiment. But what if he plays well? Either way, though, I'll say this. If John Klingberg over the next 6 weeks plays well, it's a positive. I'm still adding another defenseman because I want 8 defensemen that I feel I can play in the playoffs. And if Stetcher's my number 8, then I want a number 7, and away they go. And that's what I would look at. Because, injuries, wear and tear. You just heard Craig outline with Dallas. You know what? They got an injury and they played 5 defensemen. And you get worn down. You can't go through the wear and tear of the playoffs with 5 defensemen long term. Just can't do it. So I look at Klingberg. That'd be great. I would be adding another one for sure. So see where it goes. Hey, guys, I kind of recall Klingberg. What I don't recall is his ability to be mean or gritty. Does he play that role? I don't mind the risk free agent signing from Zads. He is not. John Klingberg is a puck mover, skates well. He is not a physical player. That was never his calling card, so don't expect John Klingberg to be a runner. Now, I know, hey, but he fought Kachuk. Yes, in the bubble, they had a little skirmish. It wasn't, hey, you dropped the gloves, great. But no, I wouldn't put Klingberg in the category of a physical player by any stretch of the imagination. It's not what he is, and that's fine. And, away you go. Now, not every D-man, has to be overly physical, but I like guys who play with a little bit of grit. Like Oliver Ekman-Larsson, when the Oilers played him in the Stanley Cup final, he doesn't run you over, but he was right in the battle, and he was competitive. And to me, that's what you look for. Way you go. Cam Tate says, hey, Greggs, I know you asked about snails, escargot, go to Laurent and Chateau Lacombe. Oh, from Cam Tate. Tater, are you telling me you're an escargot fan now? I love it. Just see Tater just in there, beer in one hand, slurping on his escargot in the other. Nice. Real nice. Oilers, of course, are in Vancouver tomorrow, and then their road trip from hell is done. They will be back. They have a 6-game homestand to wrap up this month. And this month, obviously, it's the only way it could have been better is if they would have won in Pittsburgh, because that's the only loss they've had so far in 2025. And last night, I think they're, easily the game of the year because it's only been 17 days. But of this season, I'm going to classify it as their most gritty win. I thought the game in Boston might have been their most dominant victory of the season. Like, they owned the Boston Bruins that game. But they've had a few other nights. The 7-1 win in Minnesota was pretty impressive because, remember, Faber was in the lineup. Kaprizov was in the lineup. They weren't the injury-riddled team we saw last game. Even the 1-0 game against the Kings was – now, Stuart Skinner obviously made that huge save on Kempe. No question about it. But I thought that was another pretty solid game. Like, Edmonton they're on a streak here. They're playing pretty well. Conman, to the NFL, what are your if the Bills are going to win, what do they need to do?
Stop the run in its entirety. You have to contain the rushing attack, not only from Derrick Henry, but also Lamar Jackson, which is super tough to do. Get off the field. Can't have those long drives. Got to keep Josh Allen fresh out there to keep attacking. So, yeah, key to victory for the Bills. Slow down the rushing attack. Easier said than done.
Very true. Very true. If you look at, we've talked. I don't even know if we've talked about. What about the Commanders and the Lions? What's your thoughts on, how could the Commanders pull off the upset?
It'll be tough. I think for the Commanders to have any chance, they got to go in there and play that perfect road game. We're talking running the football, keeping the Lions offense off the field as much as they possibly can. And it won't be easy. I mean, you'd have to get a lot of Brian Robinson Jr., maybe mixing a little Austin Eckler there. Those long drives where you're going, maybe it is right off kickoff, 70 yards down the field, and not relying on the big play. I think that's your best chance and keep Jared Goff and that offense off the field. If they can keep it a little bit of a slower paced game and limit the big plays, I think that would drastically improve their chances, but I just can't see it happening.
So of the four, like excluding Baltimore, of the other three road teams, is it the Rams you give the best chance to win then?
100%. Yeah, I think the Rams, they showed us a lot against the Minnesota Vikings. Going in there was kind of some tough circumstances, maybe for some of the players, uncertainty about what's going on at home, potentially with their houses, their families. Went to Arizona, were locked in, and then shut down a really good offensive team in the Minnesota Vikings with a really good defensive game plan. I think that's a good chance for them to build some confidence, but we'll see. California teams going to Philadelphia in the snow potentially, that certainly makes it a little bit tougher.
Who's on tomorrow morning here on Sports 1440? Is Declan running the show tomorrow? Who's in? Do you know?
You know what? I think Declan might take the day off. I know he was nursing a cold yesterday. I don't know how he's doing today. Brandon Douglas will be
Donovan,
in.
Brandon and Donovan are on tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. before the basketball show with Paul Sir. So you'll be talking, get you set up for Vancouver and the Oilers tomorrow morning. Then you got some basketball talk. And then, of course, we'll have the pregame show, 7 o'clock with Paulson and Walker. And then, of course, the post-game reaction. Lots to talk about. And then Monday, John Klingberg will be on the ice for practice, and we'll be there to talk about it. Have yourselves a great weekend, everyone. Please do not drink and drive. Get home safe. Be smart. Don't be inebriated. Whatever you do, I don't care if it's weed or whatever. Whatever's legal, don't be illegal. Don't be inebriated. Be smart. Be safe. Turn your lights on and have yourselves an awesome weekend. Let's get to the Con Man on a Sports 1440 update. Brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home to no payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace. Stay warm all winter. LegacyHeating.ca. Good night.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
The Edmonton Oilers making some moves today, signing John Klingberg to a 1-year contract, $1 million pro-rated deal. Klingberg spent last season with the Maple Leafs after signing a 1-year deal with Toronto. He had 5 assists. -7 in 14 games, hasn't played since November 11th of 2023. The Oilers back in action tomorrow night when they take on the Vancouver Canucks in Vancouver. Puck drop 8 o'clock. Pre-game coverage here on Sports 1440 with Brandon Douglas and Donovan Paulson at 7 tonight. Sabres lead the Penguins 1-0 after 20. Golden Knights Hurricanes scoreless in the association. The Raptors take on the Bucks. Tip off in about 10 minutes time. The Edmonton Oil Kings on the road in Regina. They meet the Pats just after 6 in the AJ. You got Fort Mac and Whitecourt. Camrose hosting Bonneville. Drayton Valley takes on Calgary, and Old in will host Drumheller. Those start at 7. PWHL Minnesota in Montreal. You also got the Golden Bears taking on Regina in hockey tonight and tomorrow down at the Drake. Puck drop 7 o'clock. Both of those games. Pandas in Regina tonight. Puck drop in 5 minutes time. At the Saville Center, you got basketball. Pandas and Bears taking on UBC this weekend. Tip off 6 o'clock for the Pandas, 8 o'clock for the Bears, and McEwen hockey down in Mount Royal taking on Calgary. That'll do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Coming up next, we've got Fox Sports Radio, and then tomorrow live action begin 9 a.m. with the Saturday Sports Setup. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
This is Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Elevate your game with the